Chapter 48. After staying in the hospital for a day, no one left the room. I lay on the bed, my heart as dead as ashes. All I could think about was how sorry I was for my child. Looking at Duanmukei's sad face, I knew he was even sadder than I was. He loved this child very much and was looking forward to seeing him again. The atmosphere was so quiet that it felt like the air had frozen. At this time, my mother came to my side. Holding my hand, she said, "Lier, do you feel better now?" I looked at my mother and said, "Mom, I feel much better. There's nothing that can make me feel more sad now." My mother said, "I've just discussed it with your father. After the doctor agrees to let you leave the hospital, you can come back to our home. Go back to your own home and rest well." At this time, Duanmukei came to my side and said to my mother, "Mom, can you not take Xiaoli with you? Don't worry, you can leave her with me. My parents and I will take good care of her. Don't worry, we won't let any harm come to her again." My mother looked at Duanmukei and said, "Do you think I will still believe your words? Before marrying into your family, I've been educating my daughter. I told her not to be unruly in your family and not to do things that hurt others. But my daughter is too kind. She didn't hurt any of you. Why would such a kind person encounter such a thing? Doesn't your family have any responsibility?" "Mom, I know. I understand what you mean. But please believe me one more time. I won't let any harm come to her again. I promise you. Please believe me and give me another chance." Duanmukei looked at my mother apologetically. At this time, Xiao Fengya came to our side. She held my mother's hand and said, "Sister, don't worry. I will take good care of Xiaoli. I also promise that I will do my best to protect her. I won't let any harm come to her again." Now is not the time to talk about harming or not. No one can guarantee that such a thing won't happen in the future. But now that it has happened, we must take her back to protect our daughter's safety. It will be easier for us to take care of her. I looked at my mother and held her hand as I said, "Mom, just let me stay in the Duanmu family. This matter has nothing to do with the Duanmu family. It's mainly because I didn't take care of myself. I accidentally fell down the stairs and caused a miscarriage. This matter has nothing to do with any of them. You should talk to Dad." At this time, my father also came over. He looked at Duanmutachio and then looked at me. Then he said to my mother, "Why don't we listen to our daughter? Since she doesn't want to come back, then let her do what she wants." My mother looked at my father and said seriously, "No one can say anything about this matter. Since I have decided to take her home, I will take her home. Don't try to persuade me anymore. This matter has nothing to do with any of you. I just want my daughter to stay by my side and be taken care of by me. I'm really scared now. I'm scared that she will get hurt again, or even—" My mother choked. Duanmutachio looked at me with a helpless expression. But my heart was as helpless as his. I didn't know how to explain this matter to my mother. Just as everyone was in a deadlock, Duanmutachio came over. He looked at my father and said, "Brother, let's just let sister-in-law do as she pleases. Perhaps too many things have happened to Xiaoli recently, and sister-in-law can't accept it right now. We should let her stay with her daughter for a while. When sister-in-law is willing, I will have Duanmukei bring Xiaoli back. What do you think?" My father looked at my mother and then nodded to Duanmutachio. Then, the two of them walked out of the room. My mother took my hand and said, "Xiaoli, you should rest well. When you are discharged, come back to our home. Of course, Xiaokei can come and accompany you at any time. You two should have a good talk. Your mother and I will go out." Then, she turned and walked out of the room with Xiao Fengya. Only Duanmu and I were left in the room. Duanmutachio sat next to me and looked at me. I could feel the pain in his heart. I gently stroked his head and said, "Don't be sad. When I am well, I will come back quickly. My mother is also very worried about me. Don't be sad." Duanmukei held my hand and said, "I lost my child. I don't want to lose you even more. If the child is gone, we can have another one. But if you are not here, I will lose the direction of my life. If I lose you, I will have no meaning." I moved to the side of the bed to make some space. Then, I looked at Duanmuke and patted the space I made, indicating for him to come up. He looked at me, but didn't move. I smiled and said to him, "You must be tired. Come up and lie with me for a while. I really need you by my side right now, okay?" Duanmuke nodded. He lay down next to me and hugged me tightly. I heard that familiar heartbeat again. I leaned against Duanmutachio's chest and thought about all the things that had happened recently. I knew that it was Uxin who did it, but I didn't have any ability to fight back. I thought that Duanmuke was like me. He also knew what Uxin had done. However, it was as if the two of us were under a spell. We didn't have any ability to fight back. Lying in Duanmuke's arms, I heard him sob. I lifted my head and looked at him. Tears streaked across his face. My heart broke. I gently stroked his face and said, "Hubby, don't cry. I'm also sad that you're like this. But no matter what, we have to face life and the future positively. Okay, don't be sad anymore." Duanmuke hugged me tightly and cried. I patted his back. It was the first time I felt that a man who could support the sky and earth would show his weakest side to you. What kind of trust was that? Duanmuke held my face and said, "I'm sorry. I really didn't expect things to turn out like this. I had a good plan. The two of us would move to the villa and live on our own. I would take care of you, and you would stay with me. When the baby was born, the three of us would move back home and live with our parents. But everything I imagined was good. Why did reality turn out like this? It's like a bolt from the blue. I can't bear it alone." I didn't say anything. I held Duanmuke's face and kissed him deeply on the lips. Chapter 49. After staying in the hospital for more than a week, it was finally time to leave. During the past few days in the hospital, Duanmuke stayed by my side every day. He took care of me during the day and stayed with me at night. On the day I left the hospital, my mother brought some people over early. They packed my things and prepared to take me home. Seeing Duanmuke's hesitant eyes, I felt very conflicted. However, when I thought of my parents' worries, I had no choice but to say goodbye to him reluctantly and get on the car to go home. On the way home, I felt very depressed. I didn't know how long the car had been driving, but we finally arrived at the door. The housekeeper and the nannies were waiting at the door to welcome us. My mother and I walked into the room. My father walked toward us. He looked at me and smiled. "It's good that you're back." After greeting my father, my mother took my hand and walked up the stairs. She brought me back to the room I used to live in. Pushing the door open, I saw that it was still the same as before I got married. My mother told me that after I left, she arranged for the nannies to clean the room every day. She also said that this would always be my home. As long as I wanted to come back, I could come back at any time. Stroking my bed, my mood was still very complicated. I didn't know what Duanmuke was doing at this moment. Did he miss me as much as I missed him? Right at this moment, my phone rang. I turned it on and saw Duanmuke's message. "Are you home? I miss you so much." My heart was broken. Duanmuke and I chatted for a while. He kept asking me to take good care of myself and take care of my body. He also told me to eat on time. Hearing Duanmuke's words of concern, I could feel that he was completely different from when I first met him. I loved him more and more, and my feelings for him became stronger and stronger. Now, I really didn't want to lose him. That was why I cherished Duanmuke's love for me. I thought he felt the same way. Although it was a marriage contract, it changed our initial thoughts. From strangers to lovers, I have never regretted it. Because I had just been discharged from a hospital, my body was still very weak. In order to make it convenient for me, my mother would send the food directly to my room every time. She would watch me eat before leaving. She also wouldn't disturb me for too long in my room. Most of the time, she would let me rest peacefully. Other than when I was sleeping, as long as Duanmu wasn't busy, he would chat with me. He would tell me funny things that happened to him. Time flew by as she chatted with him. Just like that, the first day passed. The next day, Duanmuke came to our house early. He first chatted with my parents for a while, then ran to my room to accompany me. Duan Muke pushed the door open and placed a bag of delicious food next to me. I flipped through the bag and saw that it was all my favorite food. It seemed that he knew me better. Duan Muke climbed onto the bed and lay down next to me. He hugged me and asked, "How was your rest yesterday?" I nodded. "Not bad. Although I haven't slept here for a long time, it was still very comfortable. How about you? How was last night?" Duan Muke shook his head meaningfully. "I didn't sleep very well last night." I looked at him suspiciously. "How could you not sleep well? What was the reason?" Duan Muke looked at me. "Guess." I rolled my eyes at him and said, "How would I know what the reason is?" Duan Muke hugged me. "Because you weren't by my side. Naturally, I couldn't sleep well. I always felt like something was missing." I leaned tightly against Duan Muke's chest. Listening to his words, I blushed. Suddenly, Duan Muke sat up as if he remembered something. He looked at me and said, "Oh, right. When I got home yesterday, I checked the carpet on the floor." "Oh, did you find anything?" "When I got home, I found that the carpet on the floor had been repaired. I asked Mom and Dad, but they said they didn't know anything about it." "Then who could have done it? Do you still need to ask?" "It must have been you, Xan. How can you be so sure it was her? What if the carpet was damaged?" "Impossible. The timing was too coincidental. That day, you fell down the stairs because the carpet slipped. But I checked it yesterday. The carpet had just been repaired. There was only a hole in it. That proves that there was a nail there before, but it disappeared, causing you to fall down the stairs. If the carpet was deformed after he stepped on it, then the nail that fixed the carpet should have been left there, and the carpet should have been torn. However, there was no tear at all. The carpet was intact, which proved that the nail on the carpet must have been removed by someone in advance. Thinking about it, other than you, Xin, who else in that house would harm you? But I don't have any evidence, so I can't accuse her. It's not the first or second time. She's so scheming. She already calculated that we can't do anything to her without evidence. That's why she acted so unscrupulously. It's a pity. If only I had recorded our conversation when she told me the truth. Now, if I find a chance to talk to her and secretly record it, do you think she'll tell the truth?" I asked. "That's impossible. Last time, when you had a falling out with her, she told you the truth, but you didn't have any evidence. She won't say anything to you that you can use against her. Don't you know how scheming she is?" Duan Muke sighed and shook his head. "I didn't expect you, Xin, to be this kind of person. I always thought that she was only bad at doing things, but I didn't expect her to be such a shrewd woman. This time, perhaps she really did do it. She probably already knew about my miscarriage and was probably laughing up her sleeve." I stroked Duan Muke's hair. Looking at him, I said, "Okay, don't think about it anymore. Let's put this matter behind us. Right now, the most important thing is to take care of my body so that I can give birth to a child for you." Duan Muke smiled and looked at me. "How can one be enough? We need at least 3 or 4. I patted his head. "I'm not a pig. How can I give birth to so many?" Duan Muke smiled and said, "Don't worry. The days are long. What are you afraid of?" I leaned into Duan Muke's embrace, feeling very happy. After a while, Duan Muke patted my shoulder and said, "Wife, I have a lot of things to deal with in the company, so I won't have much time to accompany you. Don't think too much about it. As long as I'm not busy, I'll definitely accompany you. If I don't have anything to do, I'll definitely come to see you. But if I'm pressed for time and can't come to see you or chat with you, can you not blame me?" Chapter 50. I looked at him and said, "Idiot, I'm not that narrow-minded. I know you have a lot of things to do, so you shouldn't spend too much energy on me. I'll definitely stay here and quietly take care of myself. You can be at ease and work hard to earn money. Try to earn enough money to feed your 3 or 4 children's milk powder." I made a face at him. "That's a must. I believe that I will definitely have the ability, but the prerequisite is that you have to give me the motivation." Duan Muke looked at me and said, "I will definitely give you motivation. You don't have to worry about that. We still have a long way to go, right? Duan Muke held me in his arms and gently kissed my forehead. After that, Duan Muke rarely came to my house. Occasionally, he would contact me through WeChat, but it didn't take long before he rushed to work. I knew he was busy, so I didn't want to disturb him. However, I was worried about his health since I wasn't by his side. I didn't know if he was doing well. I really wanted to get better quickly and stay by his side. Even if I couldn't do anything for him, just quietly accompanying him would make me happy. Every 2 or 3 days, he would stay at my house for a night. Every time, I wanted to talk to him and listen to him tell me about the things that happened around him. But after a few words, he would fall asleep next to me. Looking at him sleeping soundly, I didn't have the heart to wake him up. I could only quietly lie next to him. The next morning, before I got up, he had already left for work. He spent less and less time with me, and the number of times he contacted me also decreased. Almost 2 weeks had passed, and Duan Muke hadn't contacted me for 2 days. Although I called him, he said he was busy. He didn't wait for me to finish talking before he hung up. I suddenly felt a little lost. This inexplicable feeling of insecurity made me feel that something was going to happen. However, I still believed in him. I believed that he wouldn't ignore me. I believed that his heart was still thinking about me. I didn't think about those messy things anymore. I just wanted my body to get better as soon as possible. Then I could return to Duan Muke's house and stay by his side to accompany him. Being separated for a long time would often cause the feelings between two people to fade, but the happiness of absence makes the heart grow fonder. 2 weeks later, my mother accompanied me to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup. Finally, my body recovered completely. I was very happy because I could see Duan Muke again. I really missed him. I had been away from him for a long time. Would he miss me too? The day before I decided to leave home, my mother helped me pack my luggage. She said a lot of things to me. She could tell that I really loved Duanmu, Quebec. She told me that love was a matter between two people. Two people should learn to give and think for each other. She also told me that no matter what happened, I should face it rationally and not be too emotional. I knew that my mother said those words for my own good, but at the same time, I also believed that Duan Muke wouldn't do anything that would hurt me. The next day, my mother arranged for the driver to take me back to Duanmu's house. When I was about to reach the gate, I saw Xiao Fengya waiting for me at the gate. When she saw my car arrive at the gate, she welcomed me. When she saw me, she hugged me tightly. I could feel that she was very excited. Xiao Fengya arranged for the housekeeper to carry my luggage upstairs. She took my hand and led me to the living room. Xiao Fengya held my hand tightly, her eyes glistening with tears. She looked at me and asked, "Xiao Li, how have you been? Have you recovered?" I nodded and said, "Mom, I'm much better. How have you and Dad been?" "We've been fine. When you weren't here, it felt like something was missing in the house. It was lifeless. We couldn't get used to not seeing you and Duan Muke together." I smiled and said, "How could that be? I'm back now, aren't I?" Xiao Fengya held my hand and said, "It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back." I looked around and didn't see anyone else. I turned and asked, "Mom, where did Dad and the others go? How come I don't see them?" Xiao Fengya said, "Li Xiong went to the company. There are some things he needs to take care of. Yu Xian left early. Maybe a friend is looking for her. As for K," Xiao Fengya paused. "Where did he go?" I asked. Xiao Fengya sighed and said, "The company has been too busy recently. He hasn't been home for a while. I guess he's at the company right now." I nodded and said, "Okay. I don't have anything to do right now. How about I go to the company to find him?" Xiao Fengya said, "Do you want to rest for a while? You can wait for him to come back. I'll call him later." I shook my head and said, "No need, Mom. I'll go to his company and give him a surprise." Xiao Fengya smiled and said, Okay. Be careful on the way. I'll have the driver take you there." Just like that, I arrived at Duan Muke's company. The girl at the front desk greeted me warmly. Hello. How can I help you? It seemed that she didn't know me. That wasn't strange. After all, not everyone in the underworld knew me. I looked at her and smiled. I'm here to see Douanmu, Quebec. Please wait a moment. She dialed a number and said a few words to the person on the other end. After hanging up, she walked over to me and said, Hello, please come to the reception room. I followed her to the reception room and she left. After a while, a woman in business attire came in. She sat across from me and smiled. Hello. Are you looking for General Manager Douanmu? I nodded. She continued, Do you have an appointment with him? I thought for a moment and said, I don't have an appointment with him. She looked at me and said, It's like this. The general manager isn't in the company today. I looked at her in confusion and asked, Isn't today a working day? How could he not be in the company? It's like this, madam. I'm the general manager's secretary. He really isn't in the company today. But his mother told me that he was in the company. Oh, so you know, madam. I nodded. She continued, It's like this. Let me tell you, our company has been discussing a cooperation project. The general manager has brought all the relevant staff to the hotel to work on the project. Chapter 51. It turned out that Douanmu was really busy. I asked, How long have they been there? About 3 days, but the contract was signed yesterday. The general manager should have come back today, but for some reason, he didn't come to the company today. I don't know about the other details. I thought for a moment and said, Can you tell me the name of the hotel where they're discussing the project? The woman nodded and wrote down the name of the hotel for me. I took the slip of paper and took a taxi to the hotel. Thinking that I would be able to see Douanmu soon, I was very excited. The hotel wasn't far from their company, so I arrived shortly after. I entered the hotel lobby and went to the front desk. The receptionist welcomed me warmly. Hello, how may I help you? A receptionist stood up and asked me. It's like this. I heard that the Black Feather Group is discussing a cooperation project here. I would like to ask if they have booked any rooms here. Please wait a moment. I'll check for you. After waiting for a while, the receptionist said, Hello, I've checked. The Black Feather Group is indeed discussing a cooperation project here. They have booked 4 rooms. That's great. Can you help me check which room Douanmu is staying in? Please wait a moment. I've checked. Douanmu is staying in room 1301. Do I need to call him? No, thank you. I'll go up and find him. I turned and walked to the elevator. I took the elevator to the 13th floor. At the end of the corridor, I found room 1301. I stood at the door and decided to call Douanmu, Quebec. I dialed his number, but no one answered. Through the door, I could faintly hear Douanmu's phone ringing. It seemed that he was indeed in the room. After confirming that he wasn't answering, I pressed the doorbell. I pressed the doorbell for a long time, but there was no response. I dialed Douanmu's number. This time, he didn't pick up either. I was a little anxious, so I pressed the doorbell again. I leaned on the door and vaguely heard footsteps in the room. Then a woman's voice sounded. Who is it? Hearing this voice, my mind went blank. At the same time, I imagined all kinds of possible situations. I kept asking myself, did Douanmu cheat on me? Impossible, he clearly loves me so much. But who is this woman's voice? Just as I was feeling conflicted, the door to the room opened. A woman with messy hair and a towel wrapped around her body stood in the doorway. Her sleepy face showed that she had just woken up. She looked me up and down. Who are you? What's the matter? I looked at her and tried to remain calm. I'm here to look for someone, I said softly. What are you looking for? Said the woman impatiently. There is no one here. Hurry up and leave. If you don't tell me, I'll call security. She reached out and pushed me, trying to push me away. I'm here to look for Douanmu, Quebec. I tried to control my temper and silently told myself not to get angry. You're here to look for Douanmu? The woman looked at me with a surprised face. I glared at her and pushed her away. I went straight to the room. It was a suite, and the bathroom door was open. I glanced around and didn't see anything strange. However, when I went to the living room, my heart couldn't stay calm anymore. The living room was a mess. There were all kinds of beer bottles on the coffee table. It seemed that several people had drunk here. The air in the room was filled with a thick smell of alcohol. There were some clothes scattered on the floor in the living room. I walked around the living room and went to the bedroom. There were also some clothes on the floor. Most of them were women's clothes. There were even some bras. It seemed that these clothes belonged to that woman. On the bed in the bedroom, I saw Duanmu, Quebec. His upper body was naked, and he was still sleeping soundly. The woman followed me. She pressed on my shoulder and asked, "Who are you? Who let you in? Hurry up and get out." I shook off her hand and walked to Duanmu, Quebec. There was a bottle of water on the bedside table. I opened it and splashed it on Duanmu, Quebec. Duanmu K woke up. He sat up and shouted, "Who is it?" He rubbed his eyes and looked at me standing next to him with the bottle of water. His face was serious. He also saw the woman standing behind me. His expression was one of astonishment. My wife, why are you here?" The woman finally realized that I was Duanmu K's wife. She crouched in a corner and shivered. I glared at the woman and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. "What's going on?" Duanmu K shook his head and signaled the woman to leave. I saw that the woman was about to leave, so I shouted, "Stop right there. You're not allowed to leave." When I tried to grab her, Duanmu K pulled me into his arms. The woman picked up her clothes and ran out of the door in a panic. She left just like that. I shook Duanmu K off, tears streaming down my face. "What's going on? Tell me clearly," I said to Duanmu K as I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. "Wife, listen to me. It's definitely not what you think it is." Duanmu K didn't let go of me. If it's not what it is, then what should it be? It's already so obvious. Can you tell me what it is? Do you think it makes sense? I shook off Duanmu K's hand and stood in front of him. "It's really not what you think it is. I just got to know this woman during the negotiation." "You just got to know her?" "You just got to know her, and she dared to appear in your room, and even naked on your bed?" I was a little agitated. "It's really not what you think. You have to believe me. Yesterday, after our successful cooperation, everyone had a party in my room to celebrate. Everyone drank a little too much. Originally, everyone was here before I drank too much. But I don't know why, but when I woke up I saw you here. That woman was also here. That woman is actually a director of the company we talked to. I didn't even know her before. I didn't know her before. Don't lie. Do you think I'll believe you? I know you won't believe anything I say now, but please believe me. I definitely didn't do anything wrong to you." Duanmu K held out his hand and said, "I swear if I did anything wrong to you, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." Wife, don't be angry, okay? You just recovered, so you can't be angry. Chapter 52. Looking at Duanmu K, I couldn't control myself. I lay on his body and cried. Duanmu K held me in his arms and said softly, "Wife, I'm sorry. Don't cry anymore. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. If you're angry, you can hit me or scold me. Don't be sad anymore, okay? It's not good for your health." I pulled his arm and cried so hard that I couldn't make a sound. Duanmu K carried me to the bed and gently put me next to him. Then he hugged me tightly. Perhaps it was because the woman had slept with him, but the bedsheets, blanket, and pillows were all filled with another woman's scent. I pushed Duanmu K away and sat up. I wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes and sat there looking at him. Duanmu K didn't know what to do. He looked at me and asked, "Wife, what's the matter? Why are you getting up? Come, let me hug you." Then he reached out to hug me. I shook off Duanmu K's hand and said, "Don't touch me. I don't want to sleep in a bed that you slept in with another woman." Hearing my words, the way Duanmu K looked at me changed. It was the same as the way he looked at me when we were drinking. It seemed that he was a little angry. Duan Muke pulled my hand and said, I already said that nothing happened between me and her. You're so sure that something happened between me and her, right? I didn't know why, but when I saw Duan Muke's familiar yet strange face, my heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. It was bleeding. It seemed that my presence here was unnecessary. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and got off the bed. I picked up my backpack, which had been thrown on the ground during the chaos, and prepared to leave. Where are you going? Duan Muke shouted. I ignored him and walked to the door. Suddenly, Duan Muke rushed behind me and picked me up. He walked to the bed and threw me on it. As I was about to get up, he pressed me under his body and I couldn't move. I used both my hands to push Duan Muke away. Because I used a lot of strength, his naked upper body was covered in bloody scratches from my scratches. Duan Muke held my hands down and watched me struggle under his body. As he watched, he actually laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? I looked at him with a puzzled face. Duan Muke stroked my hair. His expression wasn't as serious as before. It became very gentle. He said softly, You're like a kitten. What? Do you really think you can run away from me? I glared at him and said, Duan Mu, Quebec. I don't want to talk to you. Let me go. Since you said I'm a gangster, I have to do something a gangster should do. Isn't that right, beauty? Duan Muke looked at me with a perverted smile. Then he slid his hand under my skirt. My legs kicked wildly, but he was still on top of me. I didn't have any room to resist. Duan Muke held my arm with one hand and held my face with the other. I looked into his eyes again. This scene was familiar. It was just like the time when he had pressed on top of me in the resting room of the wedding venue. The only thing that had changed was that both of us existed in each other's hearts. Duan Muke looked at me. With a tender expression, he caressed my face and said, No matter how good others are, they are not mine. No matter how many people throw themselves at me, they cannot enter my heart. Silly wife, you're the only one I love. Duan Muke kissed my lips. It was a feeling I missed. Only Duan Muke could give me. I stopped resisting and put my arms around Duan Muke's neck. Duan Muke took the opportunity to hold me in his arms. His hand went under my clothes and wandered around my body. Hearing my rapid breathing, Duan Muke became even more excited. He kissed from my mouth to my neck and unbuttoned my clothes. Then he took them off one by one until I was naked under him. Duan Muke raised his head and looked at my naked body. Embarrassed, I pulled the blanket over my face. Duan Muke moved the blanket away and looked at me. Little fool, your face is red. I felt even more embarrassed. I covered my face with my hands and said, I'm not. Duan Muke moved my hands away and said, We're an old married couple. Why are you still so shy? I looked at him and nodded. Duan Muke pressed on top of me and buried his head in my neck. He said softly, Wife, let's have another child. I hugged Duan Muke and nodded. Duan Muke raised his head and looked at me. Then he kissed me on the lips after a round of passion. I lay in Duan Muke's arms and felt his warmth. Perhaps it was because he hadn't let loose in a long time, but Duan Muke lay next to me. His forehead was covered in sweat. I lay down next to him and reached out to gently wipe the sweat off his face. It had been a long time since I had seen him so close. He was as handsome as ever, and as always, he was only gentle with me. At this moment, Duan Muke's phone rang. He opened his eyes and took the phone. He glanced at the screen and then at me, who was standing next to him with a face full of question marks. He pulled me into his arms and answered the call. Hello, who is this? Duan Muke kissed my forehead. Ha ha ha, young Master K. Do you recognize who I am? A man's voice came from the other end of the phone. No. You're so forgetful. I'm the person in charge of the cooperation agreement with your company. Duan Muke thought for a moment and said, Oh, I remember now. It's Director Lee. Hello. I lay on Duan Muke's body and listened to the other person's words. Hello, young Master Quebec. I'm sorry to disturb you. Did you rest well last night? Obviously, there was something to this sentence. I looked at Duanmuke, and Duanmuke looked at me. What do you mean by this? Duanmuke heard the hidden meaning in the man's words. Young Master K is indeed smart. Young Master K is indeed smart. Actually, I didn't call you for anything else. I just wanted to introduce you to the girl who stayed over in young Master K's room last night. She is our company's new head of marketing. Originally, when the two companies signed the contract, it wasn't her turn to participate, but I heard that your company specifically wanted Michelle to participate. I immediately understood young Master K's intentions, so I took the opportunity last night to arrange for Michelle to stay over at your place. We're all men, I understand you, who doesn't have needs, right? Hearing the man's words, Duanmuke and I both froze. Director Lee, you have to have a basis for your words. Be careful, or I'll sue you for slander. Duanmuke's words revealed his dissatisfaction. Chapter 53. Young Master K, that's where you're wrong. I did what your company asked me to do. What's wrong? You don't want to admit it now that you've had your fun? Before Duanmuke could say anything, I grabbed Duanmuke's arm and gestured for him to calm down. Then, I picked up a pen and paper from the bedside table and wrote a few words for him to see. Duanmuke gave me a thumbs up and said to the other end of the phone, Director Lee, I was just joking with you. How about this? I didn't have time to talk to Miss Michelle this morning because of some matters. Can you ask her to come to my room now? I'll definitely accept this favor. Just ask her to come over. Okay. I'll ask her to come over now. Duanmuke hung up the phone. He looked at me and sighed. As I put on my clothes, I said to him, See? I'll see how you're going to deal with this mess after drinking. Duanmuke scratched his head and said, I really didn't have sex with her. I don't know what to do now. After I put on my clothes, I sat down next to Duanmuke and looked at him. Don't you think it's strange? Director Lee said that someone in your company specifically asked for Michelle to join the collaboration. What's more, Michelle appeared in your room the night the contract was signed. That's right. Duanmuke nodded. What's more, I appeared at the scene at a very inappropriate time. At the time, I called you at the door. I faintly heard your phone ringing, but you didn't answer. I knocked for a long time, but no one opened the door. The second time I called, no one answered. When I knocked again, that woman came to open the door. When she opened the door, she was only wearing a bath towel. My first reaction was that you two had just done it, or she had just taken a bath. Can I say that I didn't hear my phone or the doorbell? Duanmuke looked at me with a helpless expression. You didn't hear anything? Then there's only one explanation. The phone was left in the living room, and the bedroom door was closed. As for why the girl opened the door in a towel, I think I can explain it. Then why? Duanmuke asked. First, she saw me calling you. Then, she heard me knocking on the door. She saw me through the peephole and knew that I was your wife. In order to make me misunderstand that something had happened between you two, she took off all her clothes and pretended that you two had just had sex. She used that to confuse me and make me misunderstand you. Duanmuke thought for a moment and asked, but why would she do that? I only got to know her through this collaboration. Why would she set us up like this? You can ask her when she comes. You can ask her in the drawing room, and I'll hide in the bedroom and pretend I'm not there. I put my arms around Duanmuke's neck and kissed him. You did something wrong, so you have to clean it up yourself. Duanmuke lay on the pillow and sighed with a hopeless expression. Oh my God, why did she have to do this? Duanmuke put on his clothes and went to the drawing room to wait for her. I told him what I wanted to ask her and hid in the bedroom. Not long after, the doorbell rang. Duanmuke opened the door and a girl walked in. It was Michelle, who had run away in a panic this morning. Have a seat. Duanmuke pointed at the seat across from him. Michelle sat down embarrassedly. What's your name? Duanmuke asked. Hello, young Master Quebec. I'm Michelle. Her voice was very low, and I had to listen carefully to hear her clearly. Well, I won't beat around the bush with you. Tell me briefly what happened between the two of us last night." After a while, Michelle said, "It's like this. Last night, everyone was drinking in young Master K's room to celebrate the signing of the contract. Everyone was drunk except for me because I was allergic to alcohol. Later, it was very late, around 1 a.m., and Director Lee told everyone to go back to rest. Young Master K, you were already drunk and unconscious. Director Lee told me to take you to the bedroom and take care of you. Then they left. I helped you back to the bedroom, and you—" Michelle glanced at Duanmu, Quebec. "What did I do?" Duanmu K asked. "You pressed me down on the bed, and then took off my clothes and had sex with me." Michelle lowered her head embarrassedly. Hearing Michelle's answer, I couldn't help but laugh in my heart. It was pretty much what I had imagined. Duanmu K stood up and walked in front of Michelle. He put his hands on the sofa's armrests and looked at Michelle. "I've always been a responsible man. If I really did sleep with you last night, then you should go to the hospital's laboratory with me to do a test. If I really did do it, then I'll definitely take responsibility for you." Michelle paused and said, "No need, no need. I'm also responsible for this. Young Master K, you don't have to take responsibility." Michelle glanced at Duanmu K and said in a low voice, "Young Master K, I have something to do with the company. I have to go back to take care of it. I'll be leaving first." Duanmu K didn't move. Still looking at Michelle, he said word by word, "I like children who speak the truth. Because, with me, lying is punishable by death." Michelle seemed to be frightened by Duanmu, Quebec. She shouted, "No." Duanmu K stood up and walked back to the sofa in front of her. He looked at Michelle and said, "I'll give you 5 minutes. After you think it through, give me a final answer." Time flew by. No one in the room spoke. I leaned against the wall that connected the bedroom to the living room and waited for Michelle's answer. I hoped that she would tell the truth. It would be best if the person she mentioned was the one I thought of. When the 5 minutes were up, Duanmu K glanced at his watch and said to Michelle, "Okay, time's up. You can tell me your answer now. What happened between the two of us last night?" Michelle thought for a moment and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. "Young Master K, I can tell you the truth, but please promise me that you can't let anyone else know about this. After all, my whole family is indebted to my company. If the company finds out, it might endanger my family. If you promise me, I'll tell you the truth. If you don't, then I can only let the misunderstanding continue." Duanmu K thought for a moment and said to Michelle, "Okay, I promise I'll keep a secret. If your company really uses your family to threaten you, you can come find me. The Kurosawa will accept you and your family." Chapter 54. Michelle nodded and began to tell the truth. "This is what happened. I just joined our company for less than 2 weeks. A month ago, I attended a recruitment interview, but I didn't pass it. 2 weeks ago, I suddenly received a call from the company's personnel department, saying that they want to hire me as the head of the marketing department. Because I'm not capable enough, I applied for the position of the marketing commissioner. I didn't expect to be promoted to the position of the head of the marketing department. I was very happy. On the first day of work, Director Lee called me over and told me that there was an agreement to be signed with the Black Nightmare Group. I did not know what it meant at that time, so I could only prepare according to the materials he gave me. I also looked through them carefully, but there was nothing strange. About a week ago, a woman came to the company. That woman left a deep impression on me. She was dressed in black, with a black hat, black sunglasses, a black mask, a black dress, and black high heels. She gave off a very oppressive feeling. On the day she came, she went straight to Director Lee's office and called me in. That woman took out $50,000 in cash from her bag and placed it in front of me. She told me that she wanted me to do something. When I saw that much money, I was a little tempted, but I did not dare to blindly agree. I asked her what it was about, and she told me that she wanted me to go to your room and get you drunk on the last night before signing the contract with your company, and take some indecent photos and videos with you. After that, she would pay me a portion of the money. Because it was harmful, I refused at first, but that woman took out the photos of my parents and brother. She said that if I did not do it, she would not be able to guarantee the safety of my family. She used my family to threaten me. I had no choice but to agree. So from the moment I moved into this hotel, I tried everything to get close to you and get your attention, but you did not respond. Finally, after signing the contract and seeing that I was going to check out the next day, Director Lee arranged a celebration party in your room. I did not expect you to agree. Before the party started, Director Lee gave me another $50,000 to have sex with you. I had no choice but to obey. That day, when everyone was drunk, he found a chance to take everyone away, leaving only you and I. I tried to take off your clothes, but you ignored me and walked back to your room. You fell asleep on the bed. I had no choice but to take a few photos beside you, but I did not dare to sleep with you. So I slept on the sofa for the whole night. Until what happened this morning, you know. Dwanmu-K thought for a moment and said, "Where are the photos?" Michelle took out her phone and put it on the coffee table. "Here they are. You didn't leak these photos, did you?" "Absolutely not. Don't worry." When I saw your wife call you, I was scared. I ran back to my room until my manager called me and asked me to come here. Dwanmu-K took the phone and deleted the photos that Michelle had taken of the two of them. Then he returned the phone to Michelle and said, "I've already deleted the photos. If these photos are leaked, I'll definitely hold you responsible." Michelle sighed and said, "Don't worry. I think you're a good person. I don't want to hurt you. I've decided to quit my job and leave with my family. I'm very sorry for causing you unnecessary trouble." Hearing this, I took out my phone and sent a message to Dwanmu, Quebec. I told him to try his best to keep Michelle and get her to work for him. After reading my message, Dwanmu-K said to Michelle, "How about this? You don't have to leave. Even if you leave, they will still track you down if you don't finish what they want you to do. I need someone from my side in your company. I think you are very suitable for this role. Of course, I will also ensure the safety of your family. Your brother will also receive a good education. What do you think about this deal?" "Really? Thank you, young Master Quebec. But how do I explain this to Manager Lee?" Michelle asked. Dwanmu-K thought for a moment. Then he took Michelle's phone and threw it to the ground. The phone broke into pieces. Dwanmu-K picked up the phone and handed it to Michelle. "Go back and tell Manager Lee that you threatened me with those photos and asked me to take responsibility. I got angry and smashed your phone. Then, tell him that I don't want to admit my relationship with you." Dwanmu-K took out a stack of money from his wallet and handed it to Michelle. "This is the compensation for your phone. Go and buy a new one. I have one more question. Do you really not know the woman who went to find Manager Lee and you?" Dwanmu-K asked. "I really don't know her. She's definitely not someone from our company. Also, from the way she dresses, I can tell that she's rich. But she's very small, and I can't see her face, so I can't describe her well. Listening to her description, I was a little confused." "All right, I got it. Michelle, you can leave now. Remember to do as I say. If you continue to backstab me, I won't be able to guarantee your family's safety either. I hope you remember this." Dwanmu-K's method of threatening people was indeed effective. Michelle readily agreed and left. After Michelle left, I walked out of the bedroom and sat on the sofa, deep in thought. Dwanmu-K walked to my side and put his arm around my shoulder. "Wifey, what's wrong?" he asked. "You look so serious." I shook my head and ignored him. "See, I told you. Nothing must have happened." Dwanmu-K looked at me with a face full of confidence. "This is confirmed, but there are still a lot of questions. Who is that woman? She was the one who controlled everything from the beginning. Why did she do that? Did Manager Lee know or not?" There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. I leaned on his shoulder, my brows furrowed. Dwanmu-K said, "It's not hard for me to guess that there's a thin and small person who likes black, but I can't guarantee that it's her. Although she's always done some wrong things in the past, at least it wouldn't affect the company's interests. But now, this problem has already implicated the company's profits. So I'm also doubting whether it's her. I looked at Duanmuke and said, I'm thinking the same thing as you. I think we're both suspecting the same person. If it really is her, then I don't understand. She should be targeting me. Why is she targeting you now? Duanmuke held my face and said, Silly wifey, you're guessing that it's UXIN, right? Chapter 55. I looked at Duanmuke and nodded. That's right, I guessed it was her. But there's one thing I don't understand. How could she have guessed that I would come to you at that time? Silly wife, don't you understand? UXIN arranged for Michelle to get close to me. She didn't want you to see what was going on between us. She arranged for Michelle to take some indecent photos of us, and then use them to drive a wedge between you and me. You just showed up at the wrong time and exposed her, silly wife. Duanmuke gently pinched my nose. I thought about it carefully. Duanmuke was right. I wrapped my arms around Duanmuke's neck. So what should we do next? Let's wait and see. Duanmuke then carried me in his arms and walked to the bedroom. What are you doing? I was afraid that he would drop me, so I could only hug his neck tightly. Duanmuke looked at me with a lewd smile. I'm tired. Lie down with me for a while longer. Stop fooling around. Look at the time. Let's pack up and go home. Mom and Dad are waiting for us. Duanmuke didn't pay attention to me. He put me on the bed and quickly stripped me again. I looked at him helplessly, but it was no use. Duanmuke looked at me and said, It's rare for the two of you to spend time together. You have to cherish it. Just now, you said that you wanted to give me a baby. You have to work harder, right? You have to cherish your precious time. I couldn't help it. I was completely defeated by Duanmuke's logic. Looking into his gentle eyes, I had no choice but to agree. I lay under him and felt his gentleness. Because I loved him, I could feel that everything he brought to me was beautiful. At this moment, I only had one thought. I wanted to be with him forever. Perhaps it was because we had been tossing and turning for too long. Duanmuke fell asleep in my arms after he finished venting. I also fell asleep while hugging him. When we woke up, it was already evening. We packed our luggage and headed back to Duanmu's house. Xiao Fengya had already prepared a table full of sumptuous dishes for us. After everyone was seated, Xiao Fengya served me a bowl of pig trotter soup. Xiao Li, welcome home, she said. You've just recovered and your body is still weak. I asked the chef to make this for you. Thank you, Mom. I took the bowl Xiao Fengya handed to me, tasted it, and said, Mom, this is delicious. As long as it tastes good. Xiao Fengya looked at me and smiled. Duanmuke looked at me and then at the soup I was drinking. He held the bowl in front of Xiao Fengya and pretended to act cute. Mom, I want some too, he said. Duanmutachio reached out and patted Duanmuke's hand. Do it yourself. You're an adult. Looking at Duanmuke's aggrieved expression, I couldn't help but laugh. Duanmuke pursed his lips and said unhappily, It's so unfair. I'm obviously the biological one. This isn't fair. I want to protest. He raised his hand as if he was really going to protest. I pulled back Duanmuke's outstretched hand. Protest overruled. Hurry up and eat. I reached out and picked up Duanmuke's bowl and served him a bowl of soup. Duanmuke looked at Xiao Fengya and Duanmutachio with an arrogant expression. See? My wife cares about me. Looking at Duanmuke's silly expression, Duanmutachio and Xiao Fengya both laughed. Everyone at the table was talking and laughing. Only UXIN sat there and ate. When everyone was almost done eating, Duanmutachio and Xiao Fengya looked at each other. They took out a bank card from their pockets and put in front of me. I looked at the bank card and then at Duanmutachio. Dad, what's this for? Xiao Li, don't think too much. Ever since you got pregnant, so many things have happened. Your mother and I feel sorry for you. We feel that we didn't take good care of you. This is a small token of our appreciation. Just accept it. If you like something, just buy it. Don't be stingy. After listening to Duanmu Tachio's words, I looked at Duanmu, Quebec. At this moment, UXIN suddenly stood up. I'm done eating. I have something to do. I'll take my leave first. Then she went upstairs. Obviously, she wasn't happy. I looked at Duanmu Tachio and said, Dad, I can't accept this. We don't lack money. You and Mom should use this money to buy something. I pushed the card back to Duanmu Tachio. Duanmu K put the card in his pocket and said to Duanmu Tachio and Xiao Fengya, Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. I'll accept it on behalf of Shaoli. We'll take our leave now. Before I could finish, Duanmu K dragged me back to the room. After entering the room, he put the card in my bag and lay down on the bed. I looked at his lazy appearance and said, Why do you want Dad's money? It's not like we don't have it. Since it's for you, just accept it. Duanmu K rolled over and lay on the bed. What's going on? I sat down next to him and looked at him. Actually, it's nothing. Didn't you go back home after you were discharged? My parents felt that they had wronged you. My mother cried almost every day and kept saying that it was because of her negligence that you were injured again and again. Later, I told them that you would come back when you recovered. They were very happy. You can just treat it as a gift from them. That's not very good. I was still a bit worried. What's not good about it? Just listen to me. If you don't accept it, they'll really feel bad about it. Duanmu K rolled over and lay down on my lap. At that moment, Xiao Fengya's voice came from outside the door. Xin, it's so late. Why are you still going out? It sounded like she wanted to go out. Auntie, I'm not going out. There's someone at the door looking for me. I'll go take a look and then come back. I heard UXIN's voice. Okay, come back soon. Then, there was the sound of footsteps. Hearing the footsteps, Duanmu K rolled over and jumped off the bed. He ran to the window and hid behind the curtains. He gently lifted the curtains a bit. I followed him to the window. Through the gap in the curtains, I saw UXIN jogging toward the door. Duanmu K looked at me and said, Wife, do you want to see who she's meeting with and what they're talking about? I looked at him and nodded. Duanmu K moved his face closer. I looked at him blankly. He pointed to his lips and said, Kiss me and I'll take you there. I looked at him with a black face. What time is it? You're still joking. If you don't kiss her, she'll come back. Duanmu K made a threatening face at me. I had no choice but to move closer and kiss his lips. Chapter 56. Duanmu K pulled me downstairs and walked around the kitchen. We walked out from the kitchen's side door and went straight to the garden. The two of us walked along the wall, trying to keep our footsteps as light as possible. Behind a tree closest to the main door, the two of us squatted down. Duanmu K was afraid that I would catch a cold, so he put a black coat on us. Then he whispered to me, Be careful not to expose your position. I gestured for him not to speak and listened carefully for any movements outside the wall. It seemed that UXIN hadn't gone far. She was on the other side of the wall. I heard UXIN say, What is it that you have to talk to me face to face? What can't you say over the phone? I don't want to either. It's about Duanmu, Quebec, a man's voice. Duanmu K whispered into my ear, This is Director Lee who called me. I nodded. Duanmu Gidge? What is it about Duanmu Gidge? UXIN asked. I miss you, don't play dumb. Didn't you want me to send someone to get Duanmu K drunk, then take indecent photos and send them to you? The man's voice was filled with helplessness. And then? UXIN asked in a lukewarm tone. That girl didn't succeed, but she told me that Duanmu K had sex with her. When she went back to find Duanmu K, he wouldn't admit it. What do you think should be done? Hearing this, it seemed that Duanmu K's instructions had been conveyed. What? You actually let her go onto Duanmu Gidge's bed? What right does she have? It was clear that UXIN was angry. Eldest miss, don't talk about this anymore. Back then, you were the one who told me that as long as I did as you said, I would be able to increase our company's profits by 25%. That was why I agreed to it. Now that something like this has happened, if Dwanmu-K is serious about it, you will also be responsible. That wasn't my intention at all. I just wanted a few photos, but you decided on your own and let that woman seduce Dwanmu-Gij. Forget it, it's already come to this point. There's no point in saying this. Then what should we do next? You do this. For a week, you keep that woman under control. Next week, when everyone is at home, you let that woman come here and cause trouble. The main reason is to make Dwanmu-K take responsibility for her. When Dwanmu-Tachio and the others show up, you guys come out and use the woman's name as the company's leader to get Dwanmu-Tachio to give you more profits. I'll take care of the rest. As soon as I heard UXIN say this, Dwanmu-K pulled my arm, hinting me to go back. I shook my head, telling him to stay and listen. He also shook his head, indicating that he had to go. There was no other way. I followed his decision and went back to my room. Just as I entered my room, I didn't even have time to rest before Dwanmu-K walked to my side and began to take off my clothes. I shouted at him, "What are you doing? It's too late. Take off your clothes and change into your pajamas." After he said that, he took off his coat and changed into his pajamas. It was obvious that I was an obedient wife. I also changed into my pajamas obediently. Dwanmu-K stuffed our changed clothes into the wardrobe. Dwanmu-K turned on the TV in the bedroom. He laid on the bed and fiddled with the remote control. Since I had been outside in the garden for a while, my hands were a little dirty. I went to the bathroom to wash them. As soon as I finished, there was a knock on the door. Coming. Dwanmu-K got off the bed and ran to the door to open it. I walked to his side and saw UXIN standing at the door with a plate of fruit. "Dwanmu-Gij, I just washed the fruit. I brought it to you," UXIN said to Dwanmu-Quebec. She didn't look at Dwanmu-Quebec. Instead, she scanned the two of us from top to bottom. Then, she stretched her neck to look inside the room. "Thank you. XIN, what are you looking at?" Dwanmu-K took the fruit and asked, Nothing. I'm going back. Bye." Then, UXIN turned around and walked back to her room. It wasn't until UXIN closed the door that Dwanmu-K pulled me inside. He locked the door and put the plate of fruit on the table. Then, he sat on the bed and gasped for breath. "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" I worriedly looked at him and touched his face. "Wifey, I'm fine. I just didn't expect her anti-detection ability to be so strong." Dwanmu-K laid on the pillow and looked at the ceiling. "What's going on?" I looked at him with a puzzled expression. I can guarantee you that before UXIN came back, she walked around the garden. She smelled like roses. She went to the garden to see if we were there. If she wanted to leave after eavesdropping on them, she would have run into them and it would have been too late. I understand. So when you came back, you asked me to change clothes and pretend to watch TV. It was to mislead her and make her think that we were in the bedroom the whole time. Is that what you meant? That's right, that's what I meant. I guessed that she would come to look for us, but I didn't expect that she would actually take a stroll around the garden. Looks like I underestimated her too much in the past. Look at the things she said. I really couldn't imagine that she was actually such a ruthless person. Dwanmu-K held his forehead as he lay there, looking especially distressed. "What are we going to do next? Expose her?" I asked as I lay down next to him. "No, we can't expose her. I want to continue acting with her. Of course, I want to be the main character and not let her control me." Dwanmu-K hugged me and said, "Wifey, I want to apologize to you." "Huh? Apologize for what?" I asked in confusion as I lay in his embrace. "Actually, I used to suspect that you were hostile towards UXIN and even wanted to protect her. But as time passed, I slowly realized that she was getting worse and worse. Not only did she harm her friends, but she also harmed you. Now, in order to achieve her goals, she won't even let her family off. Well, maybe she doesn't even see us as family. There were so many people in Kurosawa, but he didn't order them. My father carried her to the hospital and left my mother to take care of me. She was given everything. She ate well, wore good clothes, used good things. She received the best education since she was young. She and I both went to an aristocratic school. With her qualifications, she wouldn't have been able to get in. But now, if my parents knew that she had become like this, their hearts would ache. Duanmu said angrily. Okay, don't be angry. It's all in the past. I patted Duanmu's back and softly comforted him. Chapter 57. Ever since that night, I rarely saw Xin. Every day, she would leave early and return late, so I didn't pay too much attention to her. Now in my heart, I only cared about the Duanmu family and Duanmu, Quebec. This week was like the calm before the storm. Thinking about what Xin had said, I guessed that her plan would come to fruition soon. These days, Duanmu was also very busy. Aside from the company's matters, he was also secretly arranging how to deal with Xin. During this time, Duanmu looked for Michelle once and told her something. As for what he told her, he didn't tell me. However, I believed that Duanmu had his own plans, and I respected his arrangements. On the morning of the weekend, I woke up early and ran to the garden to trim the flowers in the rose pond. As usual, Xin left early and returned late, so I didn't see her at all. Duanmu Tachio brought Duanmu back to Kurosawa for a meeting early in the morning. The Kurosawa was going to hold its 10th anniversary celebration next month, and the entire Kurosawa was busy with it. Xiao Fengya went shopping with the other wives she was close with, so I was the only one left in the huge Duanmu house. I stood by the rose pond, looking at the flower pond that Duanmu had meticulously built for me. My mood was very good. Just as I was concentrating on trimming the flowers, the door was pushed open, and a young, tall, and fashionably dressed girl walked in. She was pulling a suitcase in her hand. When she walked to the middle of the courtyard, she stopped and shouted, "Someone! I'm so tired." I glanced at her and didn't answer. At this time, the girl saw me standing in the middle of the garden and walked towards me. She stopped in front of me and scanned me from head to toe. Then she put the suitcase in front of me and said, "Who are you?" I don't care anymore. Help me bring my luggage in. By the way, is Gij Duanmu here? I looked at her and didn't say anything. The girl looked at me again and said, "Why don't you say anything?" "Forget it, I'll go look for it myself." "They're not here." I kept my head down, pruning the flowers, not looking at her. Why aren't they here? Where are they? I want to find Duanmu Gij." With that, the girl pulled her suitcase toward the door. Listening to her call me Brother Duanmu, I was in a bad mood. I asked her, "Who are you?" I said, "They're not here." "You think I'm not here just because you say so? And who are you?" The girl put down her luggage and stood in front of me. I ignored her and turned back to the room. Suddenly she grabbed me from behind and said, "Don't go. Make yourself clear." Just then, Duanmu appeared in front of us and said, "What are you doing?" "Xinyao, how come you're here?" "Ah, Duanmu Gij." When the girl saw Duanmu she ran over and threw herself into Duanmu arms. Duanmu hugged the girl and spun her around twice. I stood next to them with a dark expression on my face. I frowned and didn't know what to do. Looking at the two of them being so lovey-dovey, I couldn't stand it anymore. I walked over to Duanmu and patted his shoulder. "Xiao shouldn't you introduce us?" I glared at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu looked at me, then turned around and hugged me from behind. He gently kissed me on the cheek, then looked at the girl and said, "Little Xinyao, let me introduce you. This is Cold Glaze. From now on, you should call her sister-in-law." Then Duanmu leaned close to my ear and said, "Wife, this is my little sister, Duanmu Xinyao. How come I've never seen her before?" I looked at Duanmu in disbelief. "Ah, so it's sister-in-law." Duanmu Xinyao suddenly threw herself at me and hugged me tightly. Sister-in-law, I'm little Xinyao." I couldn't get rid of Duanmu Xinyao, who was clinging to me. I looked helplessly at Duanmu pleading for his help. Duanmu looked at me and said, "My little sister has been living abroad since she was young. She's been very independent since she was a child. Because she likes freedom, she's always been unfettered. She doesn't need to take care of the Kurosawa's affairs. She can do whatever she wants. Now, she's a fashion designer for a top fashion brand. She's quite famous. Sister-in-law, brother, sister-in-law is so beautiful. I like it. Duanmu Xinyao hugged me tightly, not wanting to let go. All right. Hurry up and let go of your sister-in-law. I'm jealous. Duanmu K glanced at her as he spoke. All right. Duanmu Xinyao reluctantly let go of my arm. Then, she grabbed my arm and looked back at Duanmu, Quebec, brother. Help me carry my luggage. Then, she pulled me back to the living room. The three of us sat on the sofa in the living room. Duanmu Xinyao leaned on my shoulder, looking at Duanmu K with a mocking expression. Duanmu K glared at her, then sat down next to me and leaned on my other shoulder. I looked at them helplessly. I suddenly felt like I was taking care of two children. Oh, yeah, Xinyao, why did you come back? Duanmu K found a topic to talk about, moving Duanmu Xinyao's hand away from me. Brother, I came back because I missed Mom, Dad, and you. Don't reject me, okay? I'm so obedient. Duanmu Xinyao moved Duanmu K's hand away and took the opportunity to hug me. I leaned my head against her soft chest, blushing. It was very awkward. Duanmu K suddenly grabbed my arm and pulled me out of Xinyao's embrace. I lost my balance and fell into Duanmu K's arms. Listening to his heartbeat, Duanmu K's arms were indeed more comfortable. Duanmu Xinyao looked at Duanmu K, hugging me. She angrily put her hands on her waist and shouted, Brother, you're so naughty. While we were fooling around, Uxin pushed open the door and walked into the living room. She looked at us, but didn't say anything. She walked around the sofa and prepared to go upstairs. Duanmu Xinyao saw Uxin and suddenly stood up from the sofa. She looked at Uxin and said, Hey, can't you see us? Uxin stood there and didn't turn her head to look at us. She also didn't say anything. Duanmu Xinyao saw that she didn't respond and became angry. She walked over to Uxin and stood in front of her. She scanned her from head to toe and said, We haven't seen each other for a long time, and you're still as indifferent as ever. You're still as low as ever. Duanmu Xinyao glared at Uxin. Uxin looked at her and said, Xinyao, you're back. Long time no see. Xinyao? Who are you to call Xinyao by that name? Is it because I'm not here for so long that you've forgotten who you are? Xinyao stared at Uxin arrogantly, her eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Chapter 58. Uxin stood in front of the Duanmu Xinyao and clenched her fists. She looked at her without saying a word, and Xinyao didn't have any intention of backing down. She stood in front of Uxin with her hands on her waist and said to Uxin, Brother, why is this woman still in our house? I don't like her at all. I've never liked her since I was little. Uxin glanced at the Duanmu K and then looked at me. Then she said to the Duanmu Xinyao, Miss Duanmu, I'm going back first. After she said that, Uxin walked upstairs. Stop right there. You're not allowed to leave. The Duanmu Xinyao roared at Uxin. Uxin didn't turn around. The Duanmu Xinyao chased after her and suddenly grabbed Uxin's hand. Uxin lost her balance and fell down the stairs. She laid on the ground. Xinyao didn't expect her to fall and was shocked. She stood there blankly. The Duanmu K and I quickly walked over. I first looked at Xinyao. She stood there in a panic and didn't know what to do. I had the Duanmu K look after Xinyao first, and then I walked over to Uxin. Because of inertia, she fell down the stairs. Her arms, knees, and ankles all had different degrees of abrasions. I didn't know why, but when I saw her fall, I thought back to the time when I fell down the stairs. My heart ached. I originally wanted to reach out to help Uxin up, but seeing her fall, I still decided to help her up first. As soon as my outstretched hand touched Uxin, she suddenly pushed me away. I lost my balance and sat on the ground. The Duanmuke saw me fall and immediately ran to my side to help me up. He said to me, "Wife, are you okay?" Then he looked at Xin, who was still lying on the ground, and asked, "What are you doing?" "Shaoli was kind enough to help you up, but you actually pushed her?" Xin looked at the Duanmuke and didn't answer. At this time, the Duanmu Xinyao got angry. She walked in front of Xin, grabbed Xin's collar, and said, "Xin, is it because Mom and Dad are too good to you, so you can treat us even worse? You dare to push my sister-in-law? Are you tired of living?" Xin tried to shake off her hand and retorted, "Let go of me. Hurry up and let go of me. I just want to go upstairs." Xin grabbed the Duanmu Xinyao's hand. Her nails were too long, and when she struggled, she scratched Xinyao's hand. "Ah!" Xinyao screamed. When she saw that her hand was scratched, she became even more angry. She sat on top of Xin and grabbed Xin's collar with one hand. "You bad woman." She used her other hand to slap Xin's face, only to hear a "pa" sound. Xinyao's slap directly slapped Xin to the ground. It seemed that Xinyao's slap was fierce. The corner of Xin's mouth was broken. She forced herself to sit up and covered her swollen face with her hand. She didn't say anything and just sat on the ground with her head lowered. Xinyao saw that Xin didn't respond and reached out to hit her again. I hurriedly asked the Duanmuke to stop her. The Duanmuke rushed in front of Xinyao and carried her back. Xinyao waved her fist and said, "Let go of me, I'm going to hit her." "She didn't listen to me, bad woman. Let go of me." The Duanmuke brought Xinyao into the study. I glanced at Xin, who was sitting on the ground, and reached out to help her up. This time, she didn't shake me off. After she stood up, she covered her face and didn't say anything. She just stood there with her head lowered. I rummaged through the medical box and found an alcohol cotton ball. I handed it to Xin. She looked at me and didn't reach out to take it. I understood her concern and said, "You don't want me to wipe the alcohol cotton ball for you, do you?" Xin glanced at me and took the alcohol cotton ball. Then, she turned around and went upstairs. I looked at her back and shook my head helplessly. At this time, I remembered that the angry Xinyao had been brought into the study by the Duanmu, Quebec. It seemed that I had to go and comfort this little girl. I pushed open the door to the study. Xinyao was still sitting on the sofa, throwing a tantrum. Duanmuke was sitting next to her, shaking his head helplessly. When I pushed open the door, both of them saw me at the same time and ran over to me. But the Duanmuke was a step faster. He hugged me tightly in his arms and said, "Wifey, you have to save me. I can't take it anymore. I've always been afraid of Xinyao throwing a tantrum. When she throws a tantrum, she takes it out on me. You see, she bit me just now when I was trying to stop her." The Duanmuke stretched out his arm, and sure enough, there was a deep red bite mark on it. Before I could comfort him, Xinyao came in front of us. Seeing that the Duanmuke wasn't letting go of me, she stomped on his foot. The Duanmuke was in so much pain that he hugged his foot and jumped around the room. Seeing that the Duanmuke had let go of me, Xinyao took the opportunity to lie in my arms. With an aggrieved expression, she rubbed against my chest. As she rubbed against my chest, she cried and said, "Sis-in-law Shaoli, I hate her. She bullies Bao Bao. Bao Bao is not happy." I had no choice but to hug her and pat her back. "Be good. It's okay. It's okay. Don't cry, don't cry." Xinyao was still lying in my arms, rubbing against my chest. My face flushed red. As she rubbed against my chest, she said, Sis-in-law's chest is so soft." Hearing this, the Duanmuke walked over to Xinyao. He grabbed Xinyao's arms and forcefully pulled her off of me. He said, Little Xinyao, you pervert. You won't even let your sister-in-law off. She's mine. You're a bad person. Gidge, you're the bad one. Sis-in-law Shaoli is mine. Mine. Xinyao struggled with all her might. The two siblings were making a ruckus in the study room. Looking at the two of them playing like children, she felt both angry and amused. After watching them fight for a while, they seemed to be tired. They sat down on the sofa and gasped for breath. I sat across from them and looked at Xin Yao. Xin Yao, don't be angry. Tell your sister-in-law. Why do you hate her so much? Xin Yao sat up from the sofa and looked at me. Sis-in-law Xiaoli, that woman is really bad. I really don't like her. When she first came to our house, I didn't like her. I thought that I was the only girl in the Duanmu family, but Mom and Dad told me that this girl was very pitiful and that I should get along well with her. At this time, the Duanmu K walked to my side and hugged me from behind. This little sister of mine thinks that you Xin stole Mom and Dad and stole me. She's been hostile to her since she was a child. Ever since you Xin came to our house, whenever my parents bought something for Xin Yao, they would buy an extra set for you Xin. My little sister is very unhappy. Then how can I be happy? I don't want to use the same things as her. Duanmu Xin Yao pursed her lips and said unhappily. Chapter 59. What's going on? I looked at Xin Yao and asked. It's like this. Xin Yao told me about her dispute with you Xin. You Xin and I are about the same age. When she first came to my house, she was too shabby. So my mother picked out all the clothes I didn't want to wear and gave them to you Xin. At first, I didn't object. After all, they were all old clothes, and I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until the incident on my birthday that I realized that she was a thief. A thief? Where did that come from? I looked at Xin Yao puzzled. Xin Yao sighed and said, It happened on my 10th birthday. My father specially arranged a birthday party for me. That morning, my mother prepared a small dress for me to wear at the party. I really liked it because it was specially made for me. I didn't want to wear it, so I planned to wear it at the party that night. So I put the dress on my bed and went out to play. But when I got tired and came back, I saw you Xin wearing my dress and looking at herself in the mirror in my room. I was very angry, so I rushed in and asked her to take off the dress. She kept struggling, and when we were tearing, the dress was torn. I cried because I really liked that dress. Later, when my parents arrived and saw the situation, they didn't scold her. They just told her to go back to her room. I felt that it was very unfair. She was an outsider, but my parents still helped her. I felt very uncomfortable. From then on, my impression of her became worse and worse. I can testify to that. Because of the dress snatching incident, my sister casually wore a dress that day. She was in a bad mood the whole time, and it left a deep shadow in her heart. Duanmu K hugged me and nodded. Anyway, I really hate her. At that time, the three of us were in the same high school. At that time, there were a lot of girls who chased after my brother. You Xin treated them like enemies. She offended a lot of people at that time. Actually, I knew that you Xin liked my brother. In other people's eyes, I didn't know, but in my eyes, I felt that her love was a bit perverted. After listening to Xin Yao's evaluation of you Xin, I felt that it was very reasonable. I turned to Duanmu K and said, Xin Yao is very smart. Do you want to tell Xin Yao everything that you Xin has done and what she wants to do? Duanmu K nodded. The two of us told Duanmu everything that you Xin did to me ever since I married into the Duanmu K family, until I had a miscarriage, and everything that happened that night when Duanmu K and I eavesdropped on you Xin's scheme to Xin Yao. After Xin Yao heard everything, she slammed the coffee table and said, Too much. How can this woman be so bad? It seems like I was too light on her just now. Too hateful. Brother, does Mom and Dad know? Duanmu K shook his head and said, I didn't tell Mom and Dad about this. I don't think it's necessary. I alone am enough to deal with her. I should have insisted on opposing Mom and Dad taking her in. I'm so angry. Why didn't I kick her out at that time? Xin Yao was so angry that her face turned red. She sat on the sofa and pouted. Okay, don't think about her. Xin Yao, are you hungry? I'll get you something to eat. I casually changed the topic. Sister-in-law is the best. I'm not hungry at all. I just want to chat with you and brother. I've been away from home for so long. I haven't felt the warmth of home in a long time. Xian Yao's face was no longer tense. She smiled and looked at me. Then why did you leave your parents to live on your own? I liked this lively and cheerful girl from the bottom of my heart. I liked her carefreeness and her cuteness. Xin Yao sighed and said, originally, I could have stayed at home, but I yearned for a free and unrestrained life. Moreover, there are people I hate here, so I chose to leave. My parents also know my character, so they didn't stop me. Occasionally, I would come back to see them, and they would feel happy. I stood up and walked in front of Xian Yao. I held her hand and said, Xian Yao, since you're back, don't leave. Stay with us, okay? Xian Yao threw herself into my arms and softly said, Okay, sister-in-law. I knew sister-in-law was the best. You're much better than my bad brother. Every time I come back, he doesn't try to keep me. Xin Yao grumbled as she rubbed against my chest. I didn't know why, but this little girl liked to rub against my chest. When Duan Muke saw that Xian Yao was starting to make a move on me, he curled his lips and hugged Xian Yao from behind. He pulled her back and said, Let go. She's mine, you pervert. Let go. Xian Yao turned around and stomped on Duanmu Quebec. Then she made a face at Duanmu K and said, You can't catch me, right? Piss you off. I'm running. After saying that, Xian Yao ran out of the study. Duanmu K covered his foot and looked at Xian Yao, who was running away. He said with a helpless expression, Stop right there. When I catch you, you'll be crippled. After saying that, he also ran out of the study. The two of them played around in the house. Standing at the door of the study, I saw that Xian's bedroom door was half open. She stood at the door and stared blankly at Duanmu K's location. Looking at her worried expression, it seems that her love for Duanmu K has never changed. But when I thought about how she had done so many things to harm others for her own goals, my heart felt very uncomfortable. Xian seemed to notice me looking at her. She looked at me, then returned to her room and closed the door. Duanmu K pulled Xian Yao in front of me and said with a flaunting expression, Wife, look, I caught the pervert who took advantage of you. Tell me, how do you want to deal with her? Sister-in-law, don't believe what he said. My Gidge is a bad guy. He's a big bad guy. Xian Yao struggled with all her strength, her face red. I looked at the two of them and leaned against the door, looking at them with a smile on their faces. Wife, what are you thinking? Hurry up, I can't control her anymore. Duanmu K looked at me helplessly. I thought for a while, then walked to Duanmu K's side. I held his hand that was holding Xian Yao and grabbed it. Then I hugged his neck and kissed him deeply. Duanmu K was stunned and stood there, not knowing what to do. Xin Yao also blankly stood at the side, stunned by my actions. I let go of Duanmu K's hand and waved at Xian Yao, indicating for her to leave. She immediately understood my meaning and made a face at Duanmu K and said, Gidge, I told you that sister-in-law is on my side. I'm leaving, you and sister-in-law have a good time. Then she skipped upstairs. Duanmu K wanted to break free from me, but it seemed that I couldn't control him anymore. Helpless, I had to use my trump card. I looked at him with a bashful expression and said, Husband, let's go back to the room. Chapter 60. Ever since Xin Yao had returned, the atmosphere at home had become even warmer. Every day, I could see her happy face, and I could also see her and Duanmu K fooling around. That night, I overheard Xian's plan, but she didn't carry it out. Later, Duanmu K told me that because of Xin Yao's appearance, Xian had temporarily postponed her plan with Director Li. In the blink of an eye, it was time for Kurosawa's 10th anniversary celebration. During this time, everyone was busy preparing for it. Ever since I had returned to Duanmu's home, Duanmu Tachio had assigned me to take care of some matters in Kurosawa. Before the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Black Nightmare Society, we left early and returned late. Most of our time was spent in meetings, discussing every day how to make the celebration a success. Our life of leaving early and returning late had exhausted us, both mentally and physically. The 10th anniversary celebration of Kurosawa was held in the Black Nightmare Guildhall. That day, all the Kurosawa people were present. My parents also attended the celebration as guests. On that day, Uxin, Xinyao, Duanmuke, and I arrived early to receive the guests. Since the celebration started at 5 in the afternoon, there weren't many people present. Xinyao and I strolled around the venue. In the crowd, I saw Han Hao's figure. I hadn't seen him for a long time, but he still looked the same as before. He hadn't changed at all. Xinyao also saw Han Hao. She ran to Han Hao's side and greeted him. The two of them chatted and laughed. I stood in place and watched them. I didn't know what Xinyao said to him, but Han Hao looked in the direction of Xinyao's finger and saw me. I had no choice but to walk in front of them. Han Hao, long time no see. I waved at Han Hao. So, you know each other. That's great. Then I don't need to introduce you. Xinyao wrapped her arm around Han Hao's and leaned on his shoulder. Han Hao looked at me and smiled. Shaoli, long time no see. We looked at each other without saying a word. His gaze was still as gentle as ever. Han Hao, Gidge, do you need help with anything? Sister-in-law, and I don't have anything to do, so we can go with you. Xinyao looked at Han Hao and said sweetly. Han Hao glanced at his watch, then turned to Xinyao. Little Xinyao, I have a meeting right now, so I can't accompany you. I'll find you after the meeting, okay? It had been a long time since I'd heard Han Hao's gentle voice. I didn't know why, but my heart suddenly trembled. Okay, then we'll wait for you to come back. Xinyao reluctantly let go of Han Hao's arm. Han Hao walked to the door. As he walked past me, he glanced at me. My eyes met his, and an indescribable feeling welled up in my heart. Looking at Han Hao's back as he left, I could feel that he was very lonely. At this moment, Xinyao wrapped her arm around mine and whispered into my ear, Sister-in-law, what do you think of Han Hao? Hearing Xinyao's question, my face heated up. I didn't know how to answer, so I could only ask, why would you ask that? Xinyao looked at me and said shyly, Sister-in-law, I'll tell you a secret. You can't tell anyone else. Okay, I promise you. I smiled and looked at her. I like him. I looked at Xinyao. Her face was brimming with happiness. When I was young, I already liked him very much. He's different from my brother. Sometimes my brother's temper isn't good, although he never throws a tantrum at me. But every time I see him scold his subordinates, I feel especially scared. But Han Hao is different. He's always very gentle to everyone. Even if his subordinates do something wrong, he won't get angry. I like to look at him. Even if I just silently accompany him, I still feel very happy. So Xinyao liked Han Hao. Xinyao was right. Han Hao was a very gentle boy, and he was very compatible with a lively and cute girl like Xinyao. But I didn't know why. But when I heard Xinyao say that, I felt very uncomfortable. Sister-in-law, what are you thinking about? Xinyao shook my arm and asked. I'm not thinking about anything. If you like him, just confess to him. If you don't say it, how will he know that you like him? Am I right? I stroked Xinyao's hair and said to her. Xinyao covered her face in embarrassment and said, Actually, I've hinted to him before, but he's never answered me. I don't know what to do. Every time I leave home, I run away. I'm afraid that he won't answer me, and I'm also afraid that he'll reject me. Sister-in-law, what should I do? I looked at Xinyao and comforted her. Be good, don't think too much. If you really like him, then you have to face the problem. Even if you're rejected, you've tried. You won't feel that it's a pity. Don't worry, your brother and I will support you. Okay, I know. When the celebration is over, I'll confess to him. Then I'll know that sister-in-law is the best. Xinyao threw herself into my arms. Looking at her innocent face, the uncomfortable feeling in my heart slowly dissipated. Xinyao and I felt that the hall was too boring, so we went to the door. Xinyao told me that there was a good Western restaurant near the hall. We slacked off and went out to eat. As expected, the restaurant's environment was good. We ordered some food and sat there to chat. Xin Yao kept telling me about her and Han, Hao's childhood. While we were happily chatting, we saw two people come in through the door. It was Yu Xian and another man. However, they didn't see us and went in the opposite direction. I signaled Xin Yao to be quiet. She also saw Yu Xian and the man. She curled her lips and said, "She's really a slut. Even her taste in men is so bad." I furrowed my brows when I saw where they were sitting. The distance between us and them was a bit big. Although the Western restaurant was quiet, I couldn't hear what they were talking about. Xin Yao seemed to know what I wanted to do. She waved her hand and called the waiter over. "Hello, could you please change my seat? I want to sit over there. Thank you." Xin Yao pointed at the seat behind Yu Xian and the man. I gave Xin Yao a thumbs up and pulled her to sit in the booth. It just so happened that the booth had a gauze curtain. After the meal was served, we put down the gauze curtain so that the people outside couldn't see us. While we were eating, we carefully listened to the conversation of the two people behind us. "How's the preparation?" "Director Li." When we heard Yu Xian's voice, we realized that the man was Director Li. Xin Yao and I looked at each other and nodded. It seemed that Yu Xian and that man were going to talk about something very important. Chapter 61. You still don't trust me? The man asked. "Miss you, we've already worked together for a long time. You should trust me." "Trust you? Last time, you said that woman could help me, but in the end, didn't Duanmu K ruin everything for me? I can't believe I gave you this chance. If you don't grasp it, I can guarantee that you won't get anything," Yu Xian said fiercely. Her tone was indeed her style. "Miss you, I understand what you mean. Don't worry, I'll definitely handle this matter beautifully for you. Is there any problem with that woman?" It seemed Yu Xian was talking about the matter that Duanmu K and I had overheard last time. I didn't think too much about it and continued to listen to what she had to say. "That woman didn't want to come, but I talked to her a few times and she agreed," the man said with a chuckle. "You did something, didn't you?" Yu Xian wasn't an idiot. She understood what the man had done. Of course. Otherwise, how could she have been so obedient? "But there's one thing I don't understand. At that time, we agreed to carry out the plan in a week. Why did it suddenly get delayed?" "Actually, I didn't want it to be delayed. The plan was going well, but who knew that Duanmu Xinyao would come back? That woman's appearance disrupted all my plans. I didn't want her to participate in my plan. She would definitely ruin it. It seemed that Xinyao had a great influence on Yu Xian. Could it be that Yu Xian was afraid of Xinyao? Do you want me to take action and capture that woman?" Hearing Director Li's words, Xinyao couldn't sit still. I held her arm to stop her from being so agitated. Yu Xian said, "Just based on you? You dare to touch the eldest daughter of the Duanmu family? You're really daring. You have to be ruthless. If you're not ruthless, how can you achieve your goals?" "As long as you say it, I'll definitely accomplish it," the man said with a smile. "Forget it. I don't want to hurt her. If I hurt her, the Duanmu K would hate me." Yu Xian was still worried about Duanmu K's feelings. The man said, "Miss you, you're not as simple as you make yourself out to be. There's a demon in your heart. Since you like the Duanmu K, how could you have the heart to harm him? You don't understand. I didn't harm him. I just used some tricks to lead him bit by bit into my trap. What do you know? I don't agree with Yu Xian's way of doing things. She built her selfish love on other people's pain. This woman is too scary. You have too much character, but I like it. How about you follow me?" the man said with a smile. "Don't talk nonsense. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. You'd better make arrangements for tonight's matter. Don't affect my plan. Otherwise, I won't have a good time, and you won't have a good time either." Yu Xian's tone was obviously serious. "Yes, miss you." After the man answered, the two of them didn't say anything else. Xinyao and I were afraid of being discovered by them, so we simply ate and left after paying the bill. After leaving the restaurant, Xinyao couldn't hold her temper anymore. She angrily said, "You xin you bitch. I didn't expect you to be so bad. Sister-in-law, why did you have to stop me? Why didn't you just let me beat her up?" I pulled Xinyao's arm and said, "Silly girl, if you rashly make a move on her, she will certainly be on guard. Your brother's plan, won't it be ruined? Trust your brother and let him handle this matter." "But I'm so angry. I really want to beat her up. It's not that I don't trust my brother. It's just that I can't control myself when she insults my brother and you like that." Xin Yao angrily stomped her feet. I held her in my arms and patted her back. "Be good, don't be angry. Let's go back and tell your brother about this matter. We'll see how he handles it." "Okay." Xin Yao held my arm and we walked back to the venue. After returning to the venue, we found Duan Muke and told him what we heard xin and Director Li say. After listening, Duan Muke sank into deep thought. I looked at his furrowed brows and touched his face. "What's wrong?" He shook his head and said, "It's nothing. Is it hard to handle?" I knew what he was worried about. That's not it. These things are within my expectations. I'm just worried that my parents won't be able to handle this matter because of their reputation. At this time, Xinyao jumped in front of us. "Brother, leave this matter to me. Dad and Mom, listen to me. I'll explain it to them." "How are you going to explain this? How are you going to explain that you xin did this? Do you have any proof?" Duan Muke shook his head. Xinyao curled her lips. "Then tell me what to do." I held Xinyao's hand and said, "Your brother's concern is correct. You xin definitely won't admit that she did this, nor will she show it. If something happens, she'll definitely push all the blame onto Director Li. She'll definitely protect herself." Duan Muke thought for a moment and said, "I heard from Michelle that Director Li arranged for her to cause trouble at the start of our party tonight. But I've already told her what to say. I've also told her what to say." Then Duan Muke turned to Xinyao and said, "Xinyao, when our father speaks tonight, you'll stand next to Dad and Mom. You'll see what Michelle says, and you'll explain it to Dad and Mom. Don't worry. Leave this matter to me." Xinyao nodded. Duan Muke suddenly hugged me and said, "I'm sorry, wifey. Although I know she's bad, I still can't kick her out of the house. I know you're not happy living with her. Can you give me some time?" "Brother." "Why? Isn't it great to use this opportunity to kick you xin out? Why can't you kick her out?" Xinyao asked in confusion. Duan Muke hugged me even tighter and said, "I'm sorry, I don't have any solid proof. I've already guessed it. Even if Director Li stands up and says that you xin ordered him to do this, you xin will be able to find an excuse to get rid of it. Without solid proof, I can't explain it to Dad and Mom." I hugged Duan Muke and patted his back. "Hubby, don't think too much. I understand you. You don't have to bear it alone. We're a family. Why can't we bear it together? Besides, what else can she do? No matter what, I'll always be with you, right?" Duan Muke hugged me and said, "That's enough. Your words are enough." Chapter 62. Yu Xin stood by the side of the stage with nothing to do. I glanced at her, my heart calm. After all, she wasn't the main character of today's event. Duan Muke walked onto the stage. Standing in the middle of the stage, he spoke into the microphone, "Everyone, please be quiet." The noisy crowd gradually quieted down, and everyone's eyes focused on the stage. Duan Muke continued, "Today, we are holding a celebration of the 10th anniversary of the founding of the Kurosawa. We would like to thank all the members of the Kurosawa for their contributions to the Kurosawa. At the same time, we would like to welcome all the guests present. Now, let us welcome the founder of the Kurosawa, Mr. Duanmu Tachio, to give a speech." The audience applauded. Duanmu Tachio walked to the middle of the stage and began to speak to the audience. In the crowd, I saw a man pulling Michelle from the back of the crowd to the front. Looking at Michelle's serious expression, I guessed that man was the so-called Director Li. The man pulled Michelle to the front. Duan Mutachio was still talking nonstop about the history of the Kurosawa and his personal feelings. After about 10 minutes, Duan Mutachio said, I would like to thank all the members of the Kurosawa for supporting the work of the Duanmu family. The Kurosawa will get better and better. Thank you. Duanmu Tachio bowed deeply on the stage. The audience applauded enthusiastically. Duanmu Tachio walked to the back of the stage. Just then, the man stood up and shouted, "Wait." Duanmu Lixiong stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at the man below the stage. He asked seriously, "Who are you?" As the leader of the Kurosawa, there must be many things that you don't know about. The man looked at Duanmu Tachio. "Especially your son." Hearing this, the audience went into an uproar. Duanmu K looked at me, indicating that I shouldn't be impulsive. Everything should be within his expectations. Duanmu Lixiong calmed down and said, "I believe in my son's character. Since you came here with a purpose, then say what you want to say." The man pulled Michelle to the front. Pointing at her, he said to Duanmu Tachio, "Celebrities don't beat around the bush. When your son was negotiating with our company, he slept with this woman from our company at your Black Mamba Hotel." Hearing this, the audience's discussion became even louder. God, I didn't know that young Master K was this kind of person. He used to be a womanizer. I thought he would change a little after he got married. I didn't expect him to be so stubborn. What's wrong with this woman? How could young Master K do this to her? Could it be that she seduced young Master K? Hearing the discussion, Duanmu Tachio's face became more and more unsightly. He turned to look at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu K looked at him calmly and didn't say anything. Duanmu Tachio turned to the man. "Do you have any proof that Duanmu K did this?" "The witness is right here. If you don't believe me, you can ask her." Then he pushed Michelle forward. Duanmu Tachio said to Michelle, "Tell me the truth. If it's true, the Duanmu family will take responsibility for you. If I find out that you lied to me, you should know what I will do." Michelle stood in front of the stage and let out a long breath. That night, I really did spend the night in the same room as Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu Tachio's eyes widened, and he looked at Michelle in disbelief. At this time, Xinyao walked to his side and supported him. "Dad, don't worry. Let's finish." The man stood behind Michelle and looked at Duanmu Tachio with a proud expression. I glanced at Xin out of the corner of my eye. Her face was as calm as ever. Michelle looked at Duanmu Tachio and said, "But nothing happened between us. Also, Duanmu K didn't take me into the room. I was forced to stay there." Hearing Michelle's words, the man's face turned green. He pulled Michelle and said, "What did you say? Don't talk nonsense." Michelle shook off the man's hand. "My company's director, Lee, asked me to do all this. He took advantage of the party to get Duanmu K drunk and made me stay in his room. He threatened that if I didn't seduce Duanmu K, he would hurt my family. I had no choice but to agree. But Duanmu K didn't do anything to me. I swear everything I've said today is the truth." Michelle cried. The man was so angry that he pushed Michelle to the ground and wanted to kick her. Han Hao walked in front of the man and stopped him. Two other people rushed in and helped Michelle up. Duanmu Tachio said to Han Hao, "However, take this man to the side." Then he said to Michelle, "It's okay. You can continue." "I didn't want to come today, but that man forced me to come," Michelle said with tears streaming down her cheeks. "Then why didn't you say what he asked?" Duanmu K walked to Duanmu Tachio's side and looked at Michelle. It seemed that this was a secret signal between the two of them. What they were going to say next should be what Duanmu K told them beforehand. Michelle glanced at Duanmu K and then said to Duanmu Tachio, "I just want a chance to live. I hope that if I tell the truth, the Kurosawa can help me." The crowd below the stage started talking again. "So, there's a secret. This girl is so pitiful. Yeah, I wonder how boss will deal with this. It's not her fault. He probably won't make it hard for her." Duanmu Tachio looked at Michelle and said, "As long as you tell me everything you know, I can send people to protect you and your family." At this time, Xian Yao grabbed Duanmu Tachio's arm and said, "Dad, don't you think this is a bit strange? If it's just for the benefit of their company, they wouldn't need to make such a big fuss." Xin Yao looked at Duanmu Tachio with a smile. Yes, as long as it's someone related to this matter, you have to tell them all. Duanmu Tachio was very smart and understood Xin Yao's meaning. I turned to look at Yu Xin, who was standing at the side of the stage. Her expression became very ugly. It seemed that she didn't realize that she was going to be checkmated. She didn't go up to explain anything. She just stood there with a serious expression and clenched fists. It was our director, Li, who told me to do this. He told me to come here today to frame Duanmuke, and then use this as a bargaining chip to negotiate terms of cooperation with the Black Skeleton Group and expand his own benefits. Alright, cancel the cooperation with their company, take back all the funds and resources, and then arrange for the legal department to take them to court. Duanmu Tachio roared angrily. The audience instantly became silent. Chapter 63. Director Li suddenly rushed in front of Michelle and said to Duanmu Tachio, "You can't do this. According to the contract, if you break the contract, you have to pay us compensation. You better think about it." Duanmu Tachio looked at him and said, "In my eyes, compensation is a small matter. As long as I take you to court, you will naturally go bankrupt." Director Li looked at Duanmu Tachio with his mouth wide open. He stood there blankly, without saying a word. Duanmu Tachio glared at him, and then said to Han, How, drive him out. Don't affect everyone's mood." With that, he prepared to leave the stage. Han Hao walked in front of Director Li and blocked his way. "Director Li, please." Director Li wanted to rush onto the stage, but was stopped by Han Hao and a few others. He unwillingly said to Duanmu Tachio, "Let me go. I was forced to do this. Someone forced me to do this." Duanmu Tachio stopped and turned around to look at him. "What? Who forced you?" At this time, Yu Xin walked in front of Duanmu Tachio. "Uncle, the banquet in the banquet hall is ready. The Kurosawa executives have all been seated. They are just waiting for you and Auntie." Duanmu Tachio looked at Yu Xin and nodded. He didn't pay any more attention to Director Li and turned around to walk into the banquet hall. After Duanmu Tachio and Xiao Fengya left, Xinya walked to Yu Xin and stopped. She looked at her and said, "You appeared at the right time. Aren't you afraid that people will guess that you are the mastermind behind this?" With that, she also walked into the banquet hall. Director Li was still shouting himself hoarse outside. Han Hao brought a few people and dragged him outside. Yu Xin looked at him standing there like a clown, and a trace of disappointment appeared on her face. I walked to Yu Xin's side and looked at her. "Let's talk." Yu Xin turned to look at me and nodded. I walked out of the banquet hall and went to the coffee shop near the banquet hall. She hesitated at the door, but still followed me in. I deliberately chose the seat she and Director Li had sat in at noon and sat down. She sat across from me and looked at me without saying a word. I won't beat around the bush. Today's scene was directed by you, right? I ordered 2 cups of coffee and said. Yu Xin smiled. "Do you have any proof that I did it?" I touched the sofa and said, "Yu Xin, you're so smart. You should be able to guess that we all know about your and Director Li's plans." Yu Xin was stunned for a moment. She looked at me and said, "Actually, I don't know. Until just now, when I heard that woman didn't follow my instructions, I knew that my plan had failed. But you didn't really think that I would guess that you were the one who ruined my plan, did you?" I looked at Yu Xin. Her eyes were filled with disdain. I smiled and said to her, "No matter who it is, you've lost this time. Please don't do something like this again in the future and hurt everyone." I should have told you that you're not that cruel. Your weakness has been used by me time and time again, but you can't do anything to me. So what if I hurt others? I'm selfish. I only did it for myself. Besides, without any proof, do you think that Duanmu Tachio and Xiao Fengya will easily believe you, or Duanmu Xinyao? Yu Xin held her coffee and looked at me with a smile. If it was Duan Muke, Mom and Dad would definitely listen. My words seemed to have pierced Yu Xian's heart. She stopped what she was doing and stared at me without blinking. I looked at her and said, Duan Muke, and I heard everything you said outside the house, including what you said when you met him here at noon. You're right, I'm not that smart. I didn't come up with a plan to sow discord. Duan Muke had already bribed Michelle the day after she spent the night with him. The reason why she continued to stay by Mr. Li's side and followed your plan was to play out this show with you. Yu Xin put down her coffee. She lowered her head and said to me, Is that really what happened? I leaned back on the sofa and said to Yu Xin, I don't want to fight with you, but you can't win against Duan Muke because your feelings for him have already clouded your cruel heart. So, this is the last time I'm warning you. Don't do anything to hurt Duan Muke's family. You'll never get the result you want. Yu Xin smiled and said, If I wanted to give up, I would have done it a long time ago. But there's no other way. None of you can understand how I feel about him. She sighed and then said to me, Do whatever you want. If you want to tell Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fengya, then just say it. I'm already prepared. It's nothing. I looked at Yu Xin and shook my head. I told you, this is the last chance I'm giving you. I hope this kind of thing won't happen again. At that moment, my phone rang. It was Duan Muke calling me. When I picked up, I heard him screaming at the top of his lungs. Wifey, where are you? Come save me. Xin Yao wants to kill me. Save me. Xin Yao has mutated. Black lines flashed across my face. As I listened to the ruckus on the other side, Xin Yao suddenly snatched Duan Muke's phone and said to me, Sister-in-law, where did you go? Come quickly. My brother is having a party at Shallow Bar. Come quickly. Let's work together to get him drunk. I said awkwardly, Okay, take it easy. I'll be right there. I put down the phone and glanced at Yu Xin. She was also looking at me. I said to her, I should go. Coffee is on me. I hope you remember what I said. It's Duan Muke, right? Yu Xin lowered her head and didn't look at me. I sighed and said, Yes, he's having a party at Shallow Bar. He and Xin Yao are waiting for me. I have to go. Do whatever you want. I stood up and walked to the bar to pay for the meal. When I turned around, I saw Yu Xin standing behind me. I was startled. I patted my chest and looked at her. What are you doing? You scared me. Let's go together. Yu Xin smiled and looked at me. I looked at her suspiciously and asked, You want to go too? She crossed her arms and looked at me. There's no rule that says I can't go to Shallow Bar, right? Of course, I only said let's go together. You don't have a car, right? My car is parked across the street, so let's go together. Just to thank you for the coffee. She waved her car keys in front of me and walked toward the door. I looked at her figure. Although I didn't know what she was planning, I still decided to go with her. She probably wouldn't do anything to me. Chapter 64. On the way there, Yu Xin and I didn't speak. It wasn't a long distance, but because of the awkward atmosphere, it felt especially long. Finally, we arrived at the Shallow Bar. When Yu Xin and I entered the bar, we saw that the entire bar had been booked by the Kurosawa. In the booth facing the stage, I saw Duan Muke and Xin Yao. There were also a few girls and boys with them. In the crowd, I saw Han Hao. It seemed that today was a gathering of the Kurosawa's younger generation. I walked toward them, and Yu Xin followed closely behind me. Xin Yao saw me first. She ran in front of me and hugged me tightly. Sister-in-law, you're here. Quick, my brother is almost done drinking. I looked at her with a helpless expression. You got him drunk. I can't do anything to him. At this time, Duan Muke pushed through the crowd and saw me. He ran over and pulled Xin Yao away. Then he hugged me tightly and said pitifully, Wife, you're finally here. Wife, save me. My damned sister forced me to drink. Okay, let's not drink. I gently patted his back and helped him sit down. Then I poured a glass of water for him to drink. He leaned on my shoulder and closed his eyes. It seemed that he was really suffering. I raised my head and looked at Xinyao. Girl, how much did you make him drink? Xinyao whispered in my ear, 2 bottles of pure vodka. He. Hearing her laughter, I couldn't help but shiver. I gently touched Duanmukei's face. No matter how good a man is, there will always be a woman he can't handle. I guessed that Duanmukei had been controlled by his sister since he was young. Xinyao turned around and saw Yu Xin standing off to the side. Her bright smile disappeared, and she glared at Yu Xin. What are you doing here? Yu Xin sat on the chair across from Xinyao. No one said that I can't drink in this bar. She turned around and called the waiter over. In front of Xinyao, she ordered some drinks. What a jinx. You really are a jinx. My good mood was ruined by you. Xinyao pursed her lips. Then she moved closer to my ear and asked, Sister-in-law, what's going on? I told Xinyao about my conversation with Yu Xin, as well as what happened when I came here with her. Xinyao stood up and looked at Yu Xin. She put her hands on her hips and said, Okay, I'll give my sister-in-law some face today. You play your game, we play ours. We won't interfere with each other. Yu Xin looked at her and sneered. Xinyao's temper flared up. She shouted at Yu Xin, What are you sneering at? If it weren't for my sister-in-law's face, I would have kicked you out. Do you think you can still be here? The girls were afraid that Xinyao would get too worked up, so they tried to persuade her to sit down. Yu Xin just looked at her quietly and didn't say a word. After Xinyao returned to her seat, she pulled a long face and didn't smile at all. Han Hao sat next to her and didn't say anything. Duanmukei leaned on my shoulder with his eyes closed. It seemed he wasn't in a good state. Xinyao picked up a bottle of wine and began to pour it into her mouth. I motioned to Han Hao to snatch it away. Han Hao snatched the bottle from Xinyao and didn't let her drink anymore. Xinyao leaned on his shoulder. The two of them didn't say anything. As I looked at the two of them, that indescribable feeling welled up in my heart. After a while, Duanmukei seemed to have recovered a bit. He leaned on the sofa and rubbed his sleepy eyes. When he saw me, he hugged me and said, Wifey, you're here. His body reeked of alcohol, but I didn't want to let him go. I hugged him tightly and gently patted his back. You drank too much. Don't do it again. Duanmukei hugged me tightly. I know I was wrong, wifey. I was wrong. I won't do it again. At this time, Xinyao patted Duanmukei's shoulder. Duanmukei turned to look at her. Xinyao asked, Gij, are you feeling better? You bad sister. How can you make me drink like that? You made me drink a bottle of wine in just a few mouthfuls. You want to kill me, don't you? Duanmukei pinched Xinyao's nose. Okay. I was wrong. Gij, have you seen Han Hao? He was here a moment ago. I don't know where he went. Xinyao rubbed her eyes and looked at Duanmukei said, I didn't see him. I just woke up. Why don't we go look for him? We looked around. At this time, Xinyao pulled Duanmukei's hand and said seriously, No need. I saw him. Xinyao got up and walked to the center of the dance floor. Although there weren't many people, the dance floor was full. Everyone was twisting their bodies to the music. At the center of the crowd, a figure appeared. It was Han Hao. The person standing next to Han Hao was Yu Xin. I didn't know what they were talking about. They were twisting their bodies to the music and looking at each other. Obviously, Xinyao was angry. Duanmukei and I followed her to the dance floor. Xinyao walked in front of Han Hao and Yu Xin. She first looked at Han Hao, then at Yu Xin. She reached out and slapped Yu Xin's face. Han Hao pulled Xinyao and said, What are you doing? Xinyao turned around and looked at Han Hao. Are you yelling at me? Han Hao didn't say anything. He just pulled Xinyao's arm and didn't let her move. At this time, Yu Xin took out a bottle of wine from somewhere and threw it at Xinyao's face. Ah! Xinyao cried out. While wiping the wine off her face, she called out, Yusin. Duanmukei and I saw this scene. Duanmukei stood in front of Xinyao and snatched the wine glass from Yu Xin's hand. He threw it to the ground and glared at Yu Xin. I quickly walked in front of Xinyao and took a tissue to wipe the wine off her face and body. Let go of me. Xinyao broke free from Han Hao's arm and slapped Han Hao's face. Han Hao covered his face and looked at Xinyao without saying a word. Xinyao looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, "Adulterous couple." Then she turned around and ran to the bathroom. Han Hao stood there with his head down and didn't say a word. I whispered a few words in Duanmukei's ear and pulled Han Hao towards the entrance of the bar. After we walked out of the door, I let go of Han Hao's hand. He stood in front of me, the right side of his face slightly red and swollen. I looked at him, but didn't know what to say. "You want to ask me why I was dancing with you XIN on the dance floor, right?" Han Hao looked at me and said, "If you want to say it, then say it. I don't want you XIN to be happy, and I don't want Xinyao to be wronged." I looked at him and said, Han Hao looked at me and pulled my hand. "Then you want to make me sad." Chapter 65. I stared blankly at Han Hao and shook off his hand. "Han Hao, let go of me." "What do you mean by that?" Han Hao looked at me and suddenly hugged me. "Xiaoli, I'm sorry." "I'm sorry. What's wrong with you? Let go of me first. Let's talk nicely." I struggled, but Han Hao didn't seem to have any intention of letting me go. "Xiaoli, can you let me hug you for a while? Just for a while." Han Hao suddenly choked with sobs. I stopped struggling and quietly leaned into Han Hao's embrace. I hadn't felt the warmth of his embrace for a long time. I didn't know why, but Han Hao's insecure embrace made me feel very uncomfortable. After a while, Han Hao let go of me. He wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, which were extremely red. He looked at me and said, "I'm sorry." I couldn't control my emotions. I sighed and said, "What's going on? Why did you suddenly become like this?" Han Hao said, "Just now, UXIN sent me a message and asked me to pretend to dance with her on the dance floor. She said she had something important to talk to me about. She said it was about you. I didn't know what she wanted to talk about, but I still agreed. She told me that she hated you and Duanmu K being together, and that she would do everything in her power to break you two apart." "Did she really tell you that?" I looked at Han Hao. His eyes were filled with helplessness. Han Hao nodded. "That's what she told me. When I heard her say that, I was very angry. I warned her not to do anything that would hurt you and Xiao Quebec. But she said that the more I cared about you, the more she would use me against you too. I was very scared." At that moment, XIN Yao rushed over. "Then why did you stop Xinyao?" I looked at Han Hao and asked. "UXIN is a person who harbors evil intentions, and Xinyao's temper is so bad. If by any chance she gets angry and does something to harm Xinyao, how am I going to explain it to Duanmu K? How am I going to explain it to Uncle Duanmu and Auntie Duanmu?" It seemed like Han Hao was doing this to protect Xinyao. "Do you know Xinyao likes you?" I didn't avoid the topic and directly asked Han Hao. Han Hao nodded and said, "I know, but I can't accept her feelings for me." I grabbed Han Hao's shirt and asked, "Why can't you accept it? Don't you know how much she likes you? Don't you know how sad she was when she saw you protect UXIN?" I didn't know why I was so emotional. I looked into his eyes, and my heart was beating very fast. Han Hao hugged me again and said, "I can't accept her because I already have someone else in my heart." I knew that the person he was talking about was me. I didn't expect him to hug me. I struggled, but Han Hao hugged me even closer. I was angry, so I reached out and slapped Han Hao's face. I stared at him blankly. He laughed coldly and stood there, feeling the mark of my slap. Tears flowed down his face again. Seeing his tears fall, my heart softened. I reached out and touched his face. "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I understand. I know what I'm doing. I know that you and Duanmu K are together, but I still think about you. But I can't control my heart from thinking about you. I think about you all the time." Han Hao looked at me, his eyes filled with tenderness. My feelings were very complicated. I took back my hand from his face and lowered my head. Thank you. I know you're good to me, and I understand your feelings for me. But I'm sorry. I can't accept your feelings. Right now, my heart only has Douanemou, Quebec. I'm sorry. I understand. I know what you mean. Don't worry. I'll hide my feelings for you. I won't express them, and I won't bother you anymore. Han Hao turned around and prepared to enter the bar. I grabbed Han Hao's clothes and said, "Wait a minute." Han Hao stopped, but didn't turn around to look at me. Han Hao, I hope you can carefully consider Xin Yao's feelings for you. She's a good girl. I hope you can seriously consider being together with her. Since I couldn't have him, I should hope for him to live a good life. Since Han Hao and I couldn't be together, I hope Xin Yao could stay by his side. I'll seriously consider it. After saying this, Han Hao walked into the bar. Looking at his back, I felt very sad. I only hoped that he could live a good life. I also walked into the bar. Douanemou K was still sitting in the booth, with Xin Yao sitting next to him. She looked unhappy. Douanemou K seemed to be comforting her. He was whispering something into her ear. I walked over to Douanemou K and patted him. "How is it?" I asked. Douanemou K pulled my hand. "Not too good. Xin Yao is really sad this time. She hasn't smiled even once. She's already drunk 5 or 6 bottles of wine. When I didn't let her drink, she threw things. I had no choice but to compromise. What do you think we should do? Was she this good at drinking before?" I glanced at Xin Yao and turned my head to ask. "She was very good at drinking before. Once, Dad, Mom, and I took turns drinking with her. Dad drank white wine, Mom drank red wine, and I drank foreign wine. We all took turns drinking, but we still couldn't beat her. People who know her say that she won't get drunk even after 1,000 cups. But drinking too much is bad for the body. Seeing her like this, as her brother, I feel very uncomfortable." Douanemou K shook his head helplessly. "How about we let Han Hao talk to her?" Han Hao came back. "Did you see him?" I looked at Douanemou, Quebec. "Didn't he come back with you?" "I haven't asked yet." "What did you two talk about?" "You told me that you wanted to talk to him, and then you pulled him away. What did you talk about?" Douanemou K asked as he put his arm around my shoulder. I thought about how Han Hao had hugged me and confessed to me. My face burned. I looked at him and said, "What could I say?" I just advised him to have a good talk with Xin Yao. "Did you see him or not?" Douanemou K looked around and then said, "No, he didn't come here." "Okay then." I sighed. At this moment, Xin Yao suddenly stood up. Her eyes were looking at the center of the stage. She walked towards the stage. Douanemou K reached out and grabbed her arm. "Girl, where are you going?" Xin Yao didn't say anything. She shook off Douanemou K's arm and walked straight to the stage. She picked up the microphone on the stage and turned off the music. Standing on the stage, she said to the audience, "I am Douanemou Xin Yao, the eldest daughter of the Douanemou family. I think it's been a long time since you've seen a killer battle. Now, I will officially challenge someone." Chapter 66. Xin Yao. "You can't do this. If Mom and Dad find out, they'll be angry." I stood up and shouted at Xin Yao. Douanemou K pulled my arm and pulled me into his embrace. "Don't talk." Xin Yao shook her head at me and pointed at a corner of the bar. I looked over and saw UXIN sitting there. Xin Yao looked at UXIN and said, "UXIN, come up here." Everyone looked at UXIN. UXIN furrowed her brows and turned to look at Douanemou, Quebec. When she saw that Douanemou K was hugging me, her expression became even more serious. She turned around and walked towards the stage. She stood on the stage and looked at Xin Yao. "Xin Yao, I won't accept your challenge." Xin Yao laughed and waved her hand. She called the MC to her side and said, "Come, MC, tell her the rules of Killer." The MC stood in the middle of the stage and looked at UXIN. "Miss you, it seems that you still don't understand Killer. Once a challenger is named, they have no right to refuse. Even if you really want to refuse, we will force it down your throat. So, miss you, you should accept our Duanmu K's challenge. A group of people surrounded the stage. Everyone shouted in unison, accept, accept, accept. Yu Xian looked at Duanmu K and then looked at Xinyao. She laughed and said, okay, Duanmu Xinyao, I accept your challenge. The audience cheered. The stage was about to start the drinking competition. Duanmu K hugged me from behind. The two of us looked at the stage. Duanmu K whispered into my ear, waifu, do you remember the drinking competition we had? I nodded and said, how could I not remember? I don't like drinking, but in order to win against you, I desperately poured alcohol into my mouth. Now that I think about it, I was so childish back then. But it was also at that time that I gradually became attracted to you. Duanmu K kissed my cheek. Glib tongue. All right, why did you stop me from stopping Xinyao from drinking? I turned around and looked at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu K pulled me into his arms and said, my sister is good at everything, but she's too stubborn. Besides, she can drink so much. How could she be so easily drunk by Yu Xian? Yu Xian did so many wrong things. This time, this is her punishment. That's not good. I don't want Xinyao to get hurt. I hugged Duanmu Quebec. My heart felt incomparably at ease. While we were talking, the drinking competition officially began. Xinyao was worthy of being called someone who could drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk. In a short period of time, she had already far surpassed Yu Xian's progress. Yu Xian drank with great difficulty. I knew how powerful Killer was. Every time she drank a cup, it felt like a knife was cutting her throat. It was difficult to swallow. After half of the drinking, Yu Xian was already lying on the table, forcing herself to raise the cup to her mouth. Xinyao, on the other hand, had already drunk more than half of her cup. She stood there and glared fiercely at Yu Xian. In the end, the difference in strength was too great. Xinyao easily won the drinking competition. When Xinyao finished the last cup, she directly threw the cup to the floor. Then she walked in front of Yu Xian and grabbed Yu Xian's collar. She stared at her and said, Yu Xian, you bitch. You seduced my brother and even seduced Han Hao. How can you be so shameless? Who do you think you are? Yu Xian shook off Xinyao's hand. She suddenly lost her balance and fell to the floor. She forced herself to support herself and tried to move off the stage. You want to leave? It's not that easy. You think I'll let you go so easily after you poured wine on my face? Xinyao pulled Yu Xian's feet and dragged her back to the center of the stage. Then she straddled Yu Xian's body. She reached out and slapped Yu Xian's face twice. At this time, Han Hao appeared out of nowhere. He rushed onto the stage, grabbed Xinyao, and held her tightly in his arms. He shouted at her, Xinyao, that's enough. Don't you think what you did was wrong? Xinyao stopped struggling and turned around to look at Han Hao. Han Hao, you care about her that much? What's so good about her that makes you protect her so much? Han Hao sighed and said to Xinyao, it's not like that. Xinyao, listen to me. Enough. I don't want to hear it. Xinyao's tears flowed down. She looked at Han Hao and said, fine. If you want to protect her, then do as you please. Xinyao shook off Han Hao's hand and wiped away her tears. Xinyao, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean it that way. Han Hao was afraid she would misunderstand, so he kept explaining. Han Hao, if you like her, fine. I have no right to care who you like. I, Duanmu Xinyao, swear that I won't be reluctant to part with my feelings for you. From now on you are you, and I am me. I, Duanmu Xinyao, will never confess my feelings to you again. Xinyao reached out and threw all the wine glasses on the stage to the ground. She glared fiercely at Yu Xian, and then at Han Hao. I wish you both happiness. Then she walked off the stage without looking back. Duanmu K and I saw that the situation wasn't good, so we walked in the direction Xinyao left. Xinyao walked out of the bar, and the two of us followed closely behind her. We didn't say anything. Xinyao walked to a corner on the side of the road and suddenly stopped. Then she squatted down and burst into tears. I quickly ran to Xinyao's side. When Xinyao saw me, she threw herself into my arms and cried her heart out. I hugged her, and she cried very hard. She hugged me tightly and said, "Sister-in-law, sister-in-law." I'm heartbroken. I didn't know how to comfort her, so I could only hug her tightly. Duan Muke also stood next to us. He stroked Xinyao's hair and said to Xinyao, "Girl, don't cry. Seeing you like this, big brother's heart hurts." Xinyao cried even harder. At this moment, Han Hao suddenly appeared behind us. He glanced at Xinyao, then said to Duanmu, "Duanmu, can you let me talk to Xinyao?" Duanmu suddenly walked in front of Han Hao and punched him. Han Hao's mouth bled a little. Han Hao looked at Duanmu and lowered his head. He didn't say anything. Duanmu grabbed Han Hao's collar and glared at him. "Han Hao, I consider you my best brother. Why did you hurt my little sister?" "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose." Han Hao shook his head and looked at Duanmu. Duanmu reached out and punched Han Hao again. Han Hao lost his balance and leaned against the wall. At this moment, Xinyao suddenly rushed in front of Han Hao and stood in front of him. She looked at Duanmu and said, "Big brother, don't hit him." Duanmu helplessly shook his head and looked at Xinyao. "Girl, I really don't know what to do with you." He reached out and wiped Xinyao's tears. "Don't cry. I won't hit him, okay?" he said dotingly. Chapter 67. Xinyao nodded to Duanmu, then turned to Han Hao. She handed him a tissue and said, "What do you want to say? Speak." Han Hao looked at her and sighed. "Xinyao, I'm sorry. I want to explain things clearly to you." "There's nothing to explain. Since you've already said it clearly, there's no need to say it again." Xinyao wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and looked at Han Hao. Han Hao suddenly said to Xinyao, "Xinyao, I really don't have anything to do with you, Xin. I just don't want you to do something that's beneath your status in front of so many people. Don't you know that you're the eldest daughter of the Duanmu family? So what if I'm the eldest daughter? I can't get the person I love. So what if I lose my status? Tell me." Xianyao's tears fell again. Han Hao looked at Xianyao and held her shoulder. "Xianyao, can you give me some time? There's someone in my heart that I can never forget. Can you give me some time to slowly let go and let me slowly accept your feelings for me?" Xianyao looked at him in surprise. "Han Hao, what did you say? Are you willing to accept me?" Han Hao nodded. "How could I not know your feelings for me? But I've always loved someone else in my heart. I can't accept you with a heart that loves someone else. This is unfair to everyone. Can you promise me? Give me some time." Xianyao's tears fell again, and she threw herself into Han Hao's embrace. Looking at them hugging each other, I had an indescribable feeling in my heart. At this time, Duanmu patted my shoulder, indicating that I shouldn't disturb them. I nodded. Duanmu held my hand as we walked on the road. He stayed by my side and didn't say a word. I looked at his side profile quietly. Just as I was lost in my thoughts, Duanmu suddenly turned his head. His eyes were filled with tenderness. He reached out and pulled me into his arms. He buried his head on my shoulder and didn't say a word. I hugged Duanmu and asked, "What's wrong? Hugging me all of a sudden?" Duanmu didn't let go of me. "I'm suddenly scared. I'm scared that you'll leave me." I smiled and hugged him tightly. "Silly, what are you thinking? How could I leave you?" Duanmu let go of me and looked at me. "The person Han Hao loves is you, isn't it?" My heart suddenly trembled and my eyes drifted. I didn't dare to look at him. "What are you talking about? How could that be?" Duanmu cupped my face. "But I can see that the person Han Hao loves is you, and you know how he feels about you." I sighed and said to Duanmu, "I know how he feels about me. Right now, I only have you in my heart. I've made it clear to him, and he understands our relationship. But my heart doesn't feel good at all. One is my closest brother, and the other is the woman I love the most. This kind of entanglement makes me feel physically and mentally exhausted. You're thinking too much. I won't like Han Hao. Even if he likes me, I won't like him. I looked at Duan Muke and said firmly, "Can you guarantee that you've never had any feelings for him?" Duan Muke looked into my eyes. I didn't know how to answer his question. He continued, "You don't know how to answer? I'm not stupid. I can see that you have feelings for him." Then what do you mean by saying all this? I've already told you that it's impossible between him and me. What else do you want me to do? I was already a bit agitated. I shook off Duan Muke's hand and asked him. Duan Muke suddenly pulled me into his embrace, stroked my head, and said, "You are mine. I won't allow anyone to take you away from me. You're already starting to distrust me. Little K, I've already given my body and heart to you. But I didn't think that you would still be so worried about me. Forget it. I want to be alone for a while. You can go home by yourself." I pushed Duan Muke away, ignored him, and turned to walk away. "Xiao Li, don't go." Duan Muke caught up with me and grabbed my hand, not letting me go. I turned and looked at him. Shaking off his hand, I said, "Let's be quiet and think about what's going on between us, and what we can do to fix it." I looked at him, then turned and walked away. Duan Muke didn't chase after me. Maybe he needed to calm down and think about it. I calmed down and walked casually on the road. I didn't know where my destination was. There were people walking back and forth on the road. They were all talking and laughing. A young couple walked past me. I heard the girl say to the boy, "Honey, there's a new movie coming out tomorrow. Let's go and watch it together." The boy had a doting expression on his face. He stroked the girl's hair and smiled. "Okay, girl. Whatever you want. I knew you were the best. Then let's go eat something good. I know a new restaurant that opened. It's really good." The girl leaned on the boy's shoulder, her face full of happiness. "Okay, as long as you're happy." The boy put his arm around the girl's shoulder and walked away. Seeing their happy faces, I realized that I had never had a proper date with Duan Mu, Quebec. I had never seen a movie with him. It felt like there were a lot of things I hadn't done with him. I suddenly felt very sorry for him. I thought about how I had lost my temper with him, and how he had only said those things because he cared about me. I felt very uncomfortable. Maybe I had done something wrong. I thought about it and decided to take the initiative to admit my mistake. I picked up my phone and dialed Duan Muke's number, but he didn't answer. I called him 2 more times, but he still didn't answer. Maybe he went home. I called a taxi and drove to Duan Muke's house. When I arrived at Duan Muke's house, I walked through the front door. There was no one in the front yard. It was very late. I walked into the living room. Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fingyao weren't in the living room either. Only the housekeeper was cleaning the living room. When she saw me, she warmly greeted me. "Young madam, you're back." "Yeah, I'm back." "Is Xiao K back?" I asked. "Young Master K has been back for a while. He should be upstairs in his bedroom." "Okay, thank you. I got it." I walked upstairs. I decided that if I saw Duan Muke, I would hug him and apologize to him. When I reached the bedroom door, I straightened my clothes and took out the mirror I always carried with me. If I wasn't happy, Duan Muke would be too. I gently pushed the door open and said loudly, "Hubby, I'm back." Chapter 68. The moment I opened the door, I saw a scene that I would never forget. I stood at the door, dumbfounded. Looking at the scene in front of me, I felt as if the world had collapsed. Duan Muke was indeed in the bedroom. He was lying quietly on the bed, his upper body naked. There were bottles of alcohol everywhere on the floor. It seemed he had been drinking. And in Duan Muke's arms was another person. That person was none other than Uxin. Uxin was also lying in Duan Muke's arms with her arms exposed. I stood at the door and didn't say anything. Looking at the scene in front of me, I didn't know what to do. I took a step back and wanted to leave the room, but I accidentally bumped into a bottle on the floor. The sound of the bottle falling woke Duan Muke up. Duan Muke rubbed his eyes. His sleepy eyes saw me standing at the door. He hurriedly got off the bed and rushed to my side. He hugged me and said, "Wifey, you're back. Wifey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have wronged you. I'm sorry. Don't be mad at me, okay?" I didn't say anything. I just stood there and stared at Xin, who was still lying on the bed. Duanmu saw that I didn't respond. He looked at me and said, "Wifey, what's wrong? Are you still mad at me? Don't be mad." Tears fell from my eyes. Then I moved his hand away from me. I didn't say anything and turned to leave. Duanmu saw that I was about to leave. He hugged me tightly from behind and said, "Wifey, I know I was wrong. Don't ignore me, okay? I'm sorry. I know I was wrong." At this time, Xinyao came back with Han Hao. Xinyao smiled and ran towards me. "Sister-in-law, we're back. Han, Hao, and I made up sister-in-law." Seeing Xinyao, my tears couldn't stop flowing. I lay in her arms and cried even harder. Xinyao hugged me and said, "Sister-in-law, what's wrong? Don't cry." She saw Duanmu and shouted, "Aya, brother, why aren't you dressed?" Duanmu looked down at himself and said shyly, "I'll go put on now." Duanmu turned around and saw Xin lying on the bed awake. He was shocked and stepped back a few steps. He pointed at Xin and said, "You, why are you in my bed?" Xin sat up on the bed and covered her chest with the blanket. She calmly flipped her hair and looked at us without saying a word. Xinyao moved closer to Duanmu and saw the naked Xin. She was stunned. "Xin," she shouted. "You slut, get the hell out here." After saying that, he reached out to beat Xin. Han Hao hugged Xinyao from behind and said, "Girl, don't get too excited. You still don't understand the situation. It won't be too late to make a decision after you figure it out." With a cold laugh, I looked at Duanmu and said, "What else is there to be unclear about? Isn't it obvious? My man slept with another woman in our bridal chamber. Hee hee." My tears flowed down again. Duanmu pressed my shoulder and said, "It's not like that. Wife, don't think too much." After we finished arguing, I was very upset. So I went home to drink. Later, I didn't have enough wine, so I asked the nanny to bring me a few bottles. After that, I don't remember anything. I looked at Duanmu and said, "Do you think I still believe you?" I shook off Duanmu hand and walked downstairs. At this moment, I felt as if the whole world had turned black. I sat on the sofa in the living room, numb. I couldn't feel anything at all. After a while, Xinyao ran downstairs and sat next to me. She wanted to say something, but she was hesitant and didn't know what to say. I looked at her and said, "I'm fine. I'm fine." Xinyao couldn't hold it in any longer. She said to me, "Sister-in-law, don't hold it in anymore. I know you feel wronged. Don't hold it in. If you want to cry, just cry." Xinyao hugged me, and I lay in her embrace, tears flowing uncontrollably. Xinyao stroked my hair and sighed. I didn't think she would use such a method. If your brother didn't give her a chance, she wouldn't have climbed into his bed so easily. Sister-in-law, don't think about it. My heart aches for you. That bad brother of mine is too bad. Xinyao hugged me tightly, giving me a little bit of warmth. After a while, Han Hao brought Xin downstairs. Duanmu followed behind. Xin sat across from me. Duanmu wanted to sit next to me, but I refused. Helpless, he could only sit next to Xin. We sat like that in silence, no one saying a word. After a while, I raised my head and looked at Duanmu. He had his head lowered and didn't look at me. Xin looked at me calmly, as if she was showing off to me that she had obtained Duanmu. I calmed down and said, "Xinyao, help me pack my luggage and then take me home." Xinyao looked puzzled. "Go home?" she asked. "Isn't this your home?" "My own home." I looked at Duanmu. He raised his head and looked at me. He didn't say anything. "Sister-in-law, you should think about it carefully. Don't make a decision so easily." Xinyao hugged my arm. I understood that she was giving us some leeway. Han Hao looked at Xinyao. Listen to her. We'll take her home later. Duanmuke suddenly stood up. He looked at me and said, "This is a misunderstanding. We can't confirm what happened. Can't you give me a chance to explain?" I looked at him and said calmly, "What's there to explain? Two people hugging each other naked. Would you believe me if I said nothing happened?" Duanmuke blushed. He turned to Uxin and said, "Uxin, tell them that nothing happened between us." Uxin looked at Duanmuke and then at me. "It's okay. I don't need him to take responsibility." "What? Obviously nothing happened. Why would you say that?" Duanmuke tightly gripped Uxin's shoulder. "Duanmu Gij, I was the one who delivered the wine for you. As soon as I put the wine down, you suddenly hugged me and said how much you loved me. Then you kissed me, and then—" Uxin lowered her head. I sneered. I looked up and didn't say anything else. I tried not to let my tears fall. Xinyao couldn't control her emotions. She stood up and pointed at Uxin. "You bitch. I didn't expect you to hook up with a man in bed. Do you really think you're a good person?" I pulled Xinyao's arm and said, "Forget it. It's already like this. What else is there to say?" Duanmuke turned to look at me. "What about you? When you hugged Han, how did you consider my feelings? What am I?" Chapter 69. Xin Yao looked at Duanmuke with wide eyes and said, "Bro, what did you say?" Suddenly, Han Hao stood in front of me. He looked at Duanmuke and said, "Xiaoke, why did you say that? Don't you know you'll hurt her heart? You care about her that much? You said nothing happened between the two of you? Who would believe that?" Duanmuke stared at Han Hao and roared. Xin Yao pulled Han Hao and asked, "Brother Han Hao, what's going on?" Han Hao looked at Xin Yao, then looked at Duanmuke and said, in front of Xin Yao, "I'm not afraid to say it. You're right, I do like Xiaoli. From the first time I saw her, I fell in love with her. But what about Xiaoli? In order to be with you, she rejected me more than once. She's such a good woman. Why do you want to hurt her? Why do you want to wrong her?" Xin Yao lowered her head, tears streaming down her face. Duanmuke sneered and said, "Han Hao, you'd better see clearly that the person you love is my woman. You." Han Hao was about to open his mouth, but Xin Yao pulled him back. Xin Yao stood up and looked at Duanmu. "Quebec, brother, I know. I guess that Han Hao likes sister-in-law. The way Han Hao looks at her is completely different from the way he looks at me. When I found out about this, my heart was very uncomfortable. I like sister-in-law, I like Han Hao, and I also like brother." Duanmuke looked at Xin Yao and roared, "Don't tell me you're also questioning me? Brother, that's not what I meant." Xin Yao was scared and hid behind Han Hao. I looked at Duanmuke and said, "Let's just leave it at that. The two of us need to think about what to do in the future." I turned to Xin Yao and said, "Xin Yao, let's go." I turned to walk towards the door. Suddenly, Duanmuke rushed forward and grabbed my hand. He pulled me into his arms and carried me up. I clung onto him tightly and struggled as I said, "What are you doing? Let go of me." Duanmuke carried me upstairs. When he passed by Han Hao and Xin Yao, he glanced at them and said, "No matter what you hear, don't go upstairs." Then, Duanmuke carried me upstairs. "Duanmuke, let go of me." I was still struggling. I looked at Xin Yao, and Xin Yao shook her head at me, indicating that I shouldn't struggle. Indeed, I couldn't struggle. Duanmuke was holding me tightly. How could I break free? Duanmuke carried me back to the bedroom. After we entered the room, Duanmuke closed the door and threw me onto the bed. I struggled to sit up. I looked at him and roared, "Duanmuke, what the hell do you want?" Duanmuke stood by the bed and pushed me down. He looked at me as he took off his clothes. I looked at him in fear. Clutching my chest, I asked, "Duanmuke, calm down. What do you want?" After taking off his clothes, Duanmuke climbed onto the bed and lay on top of me. I couldn't move. I pushed his shoulders and roared, "Duanmuke, let go of me. Don't touch me." Duamuke was on top of me, tearing off my clothes piece by piece. He stared at me and said, "Don't touch you? Do you want to wait for someone to touch you?" My upper body was completely exposed in front of him. Hearing him say that, I was very angry. I couldn't control myself and slapped him. After I slapped him, I was shocked. Duamuke suddenly stopped. He looked at me. I didn't dare to look at him and turned my face to the side. He put his hand under my skirt. I quickly grabbed his hand to stop him from moving. Duamuke grabbed my hand and pressed me under his body. He looked into my eyes and said, "You are mine." Duamuke kissed me deeply on the lips. He suddenly became gentle and touched me gently, from my face to my upper body. Then, he put his hand under my skirt again. This time I didn't struggle. He gently took off all the coverings on my body. I was completely naked in front of him. He spread my legs and tangled with me tenderly. After a while, I lay on the bed with my back facing Duanmu, Quebec. He leaned against the headboard and didn't say anything. I didn't want to know what he was thinking, and I didn't want to talk to him. After lying down for a while, I struggled to sit up, but Duamuke pressed me down on the bed. "Lie down," he roared. I turned around and looked at Duanmu, Quebec. "What do you want?" Duanmuke took advantage of the situation and pulled me into his arms. "Nothing. There's nothing that can't be solved with sex." I looked at Duanmuke, with a face full of black lines. I was actually speechless with his logic. However, as I listened to Duanmuke's heartbeat, my mood gradually calmed down. However, when I thought of the image of him and Yusin lying together, my heart still felt very uncomfortable. I used all my strength to pinch his back. "Ouch. It hurts." Duamuke grimaced as he cried out. I glared at him and said, "No matter how painful it is, it's not as painful as mine." I pinched his back hard again. "I was wrong. I was wrong. Don't pinch me," Duanmuke said with a helpless face. I struggled to get up. Looking at the clothes that had been torn by Duanmuke, I shook my head helplessly. I opened the wardrobe and took out a set of clothes to change into. Duanmuke lay on the bed and looked at me. "Where are you going?" I turned my head and looked at him. "You have a big heart, but I don't. I want to talk to you, Xan. What do you two have to talk about?" "Don't talk." Duanmuke suddenly jumped off the bed and hugged me tightly from behind. "Are you that afraid that I will confront her?" I began to suspect that something had really happened between Duanmuke and Xan. Otherwise, why would he be so against me going to Xan? Duanmuke didn't let go of me. He said to me, "Don't go to her, okay? I don't want you to go to her." "But why? Why don't you let me go to her?" "There has to be a reason." "There's no reason. I just don't want you to go." Duanmuke's tone clearly became stiff. I shook off Duanmuke's hand and looked at him. "If you didn't have something to do, you wouldn't be so against me going to her." Duanmuke put his hands on his waist and said angrily, "Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I can't control you." I glared at him, opened the door, and walked out of the room. I stood on the stairs and saw that Xin Yao and Han Hao were no longer in the living room. Xan was still sitting in the living room, pouring red wine into a glass. I stood on the stairs and called out to her, "Xan." She looked up at me and said, "Come down and sit." Chapter 70. I walked in front of Xan and sat on the sofa across from her. She picked up a wine glass and poured me some wine. She looked at me and said, "Drink a bit." I didn't refuse and took the wine glass she handed me. Xan sat upright on the sofa, raised the glass, and drank it in one gulp. After drinking, she looked at me and said, "What do you want to ask?" "Ask away." "I don't have anything to ask you. Aren't the facts in front of you?" I held the wine glass and looked at Xan. Xan smiled and said, "It seems like you're quite sensible. It's good that you understand." How is it? How's Xiao Kei's martial arts?" I raised my eyebrows and looked at Xan. Xan was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Very good. Not bad." That's strange. How did you make a drunk person have sex with you? What's so hard about that? He mistook me for you. So it happened naturally. Xin arrogantly raised her head and looked at me. I looked at her and said, so you admit that you seduced Xiaoke? Xin was stunned and said, you're wrong. It was Duanmu Gij who took the initiative to have sex with me. How could I seduce him? I put down the wine glass and looked at Xin. I suddenly feel that you're very pitiful. The person Xiaoke loves is me, so he's not satisfied with me. But you're doing everything you can to climb into his bed. Xin looked at me and said, so what? I'm satisfied as long as I can sleep with him. What do you plan to do in the future? Me? What can I do? I'll just pretend that nothing happened. Aren't you still his wife? Xin looked at me and said with a smile. It was obvious that she was trying to force me to leave Duanmu, Quebec. I stood up and looked at Xin. This is your ultimate goal, isn't it? You want to drive me away and become his woman, right? That's right. I'm already close to success. I won't give you another chance to turn things around. I pity you, cold glaze. In the end, you're still no match for me. Xin's smile was especially brilliant. Time will tell. I turned and went upstairs. At that moment, Xinyao poked her head out of the room. When she saw me coming up the stairs, she looked at me and said, sister-in-law, come quickly. Sister-in-law, come quickly. I saw Xinyao call me, so I walked over to her. Xinyao grabbed my arm and pulled me into her bedroom. When I entered the room, I saw that Han Hao was also there. After Xinyao pulled me in, she held my arm and said, sister-in-law, did brother quarrel with you just now? I heard a lot of noise in your room. I blushed. I patted her head and said, little girl, don't ask questions. Xinyao winked mischievously. She looked at me with a smile and said, okay, let's stop. Sister-in-law, I saw you go downstairs and talk with Xin. What did you talk about? I sighed and said, we didn't talk about anything. She didn't say whether she and Duanmu K had a relationship or not. She only told me that her ultimate goal was to drive me away and become his woman. She's really shameless. Xinyao became unhappy again. I looked at her and then at Han Hao and said, oh right. Xinyao, I have to apologize to you. I'm sorry. I know that the person Han Hao likes is me. Actually, when I found out that you had feelings for Han Hao, I felt very uncomfortable. I'm sorry, Xinyao. Xinyao suddenly hugged me and said, sister-in-law, Han Hao told me all of this when we talked alone the other day. Although I don't feel good about it, I really envy sister-in-law because sister-in-law can obtain Han Hao's heart. Of course, I also like sister-in-law because I know what kind of person sister-in-law is. Sister-in-law wouldn't do anything to hurt me, right? I tightly hugged Xinyao and said, silly girl, I've wronged you. I'm sorry. Sister-in-law will be good to you. I let go of Xinyao and turned to look at Han Hao. I said, Han Hao, I'll leave Xinyao to you in the future. Xinyao's personality is still like a little girl, so I'll leave it to you. I don't want Xinyao to be wronged. Han Hao nodded and said, okay, I promise you. I'll take good care of her. Oh right, sister-in-law. What do we plan to do next? How are we going to deal with Xin? Xinyao looked at me and asked. I sighed and said, I don't know, but I feel like Duanmu K's temper is getting worse and worse. Although it's possible that Xin seduced Duanmu K, it's also possible that nothing happened between the two of them. However, I don't suspect that it was Duanmu K who initiated it. Xinyao shook her head and said, sister-in-law, don't worry about this. My brother is definitely not like this. You have to believe me, I can guarantee you this. I really don't know about this, but Duanmu K has been acting a bit strange recently. I don't know why he became like this. I just said a few words to him, and his temper flared up. Then we quarreled. I sighed. What? You two just quarreled? Xinyao looked at me and rubbed my head. I shook my head and said, it's nothing, it's just a few words. It's all in the past. Don't wrong yourself. If you can't handle it, just call me. I'll beat him up. Xin Yao looked at me and said. I smiled and said, silly girl, you don't have to worry about UXAN. We'll play it by ear. As for your brother, if you have time, you have to sound him out and see what he's thinking. I'm afraid his feelings for me have already faded. At this moment, the door was pushed open. Duan Muke stood at the door and looked at us. Faded. Very, very faded. I looked at Duan Muke in surprise and said, why are you here? You were eavesdropping on our conversation. You're the stupid one, talking so loudly. Duan Muke walked over to me and knocked my head. Then he walked over to Han Hao and looked at Han Hao. Sorry bro, I misunderstood you. Han Hao was stunned. Then he looked at Duan Muke and said, you're too polite. We don't need to be so formal. We're all brothers. Wow, bro actually took the initiative to admit his mistake. That's not like you. Xin Yao looked at Duan Muke with an evil smile and teased him. Duan Muke's face suddenly became very red. He didn't dare to look at us directly. He looked at the ceiling and said, Did I? Let's not talk about this. When I came out, I didn't see you Xian. She probably went back to her room. Why are you here? I rolled my eyes at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu K suddenly pulled me into his embrace and softly whispered into my ear, my wife is missing. I'm here to look for my wife. I want to admit my mistake to my wife, admit that I was wrong. After saying that, he kissed me on the cheek. You're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.